Or mainland. Not yet. Okay. So, this was on April 18th to the 24th. We left Colorado on the 17th, and we had a great time. But I want to say energetically, they were already preparing us going, and I could tease Susan, but then I happened late because she couldn't remember the day. It's like, what day it is? And I'm like, oh, Susan, it's Thursday. Oh, Susan, it's Friday. By the time Saturday came up, and I was like, what day is it? So there was a lot of energy, a lot of interactions, and this particular location has a lot of what do we call it? Experiences or things that are occurring that it's not just a Sasquatch. There was so much more.
And no time, no space.
Right.
Very much, yeah.
So
and they do, I mean, if you're really interested, we learned about this from someone else, and then Garrett went visited, and then he brought us. But if you are interested in visiting Board Camp Mines, they run what do they call their tours? Not unexplained tours.
was it this
I read about it. It sounded, I want to do that.
paranormal tours or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are they?
Paranormal tours?
Paranormal
I can't even
tours.
speak now, like,
Cool.
safari.
Because they have a lot of
Love it.
star being activity and all sorts of things, but we went.
It's RD.
Oh, I said star being.
Oh, star beings, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so much activity there that Josh Gates, I don't know if you know him, he's pretty well known, and he's like an archaeologist, paranormal
Research.
yeah, I was gonna say he does a lot of paranormal shows and they do research. So he's been there several times. So the place was featured on several of his shows, and I think there was a couple others possibly. But so there is activity, but when we went there, they really weren't ready for a whole bunch of people because we stayed in a studio. It was it 2 queen beds or 2 a queen and a full?
I think it was 2 full beds.
Yeah. So it was it had a kitchen, it had a bathroom. So like Amy also went with us. So Amy and myself were in one bed and Susan, of course, another, and Garrett had a cot.
We made a cut.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But it's
That
okay, but
works.
we've traveled so much together. So it's, you know, it wasn't something new. But
But there was a couple other people who wanted to go, and we
Yeah.
couldn't make it happen because there's no more room.
there was, yeah, it's like,
Let me know if you do something like that again. I
Well,
would really be cool.
so they're planning to build up the place to have more people come. They're also thinking of changing it into what's a sanctuary?
Yeah, like a
Sanctuary.
meditation.
Yeah.
retreat sanctuary.
So it's not about people going to investigate or to mine. They're gonna go into all this, so that's their ideas. But in the meantime, we'll begin with our presentation. So what you're seeing in this picture, that's something that Garrett created. And I was like, that's kind of perfect. Those are all the rocks that we got from there.
Oh, nice.
And so they had what they called cloudy, I think they called it, quartz. So they are quartz, but they are not the clear quartz like you would normally see. So they had a lot of those. They had some clear quartz, but we never dig deep enough or something. We didn't have the right kind of sweet spot. Yeah.
We found little itty rice-sized ones on top.
I found more when I was just walking around and picking them off the ground.
And where they have it set, they have a specific area you're designated to mine, and then there's the area that they're respecting the forest people on. And so like all the sacred space, they don't want you collecting anything unless like they hear that you're supposed to have
Right.
something, which is
Right.
really honorable and nice. So then they have a separate place where they still do public mining, and that's where we did attempt mining for a day.
I got 2 pieces. And I did 2 holes, and then I was like, half an hour more, I'll go walk around. And like I said, I gathered more on top because I didn't need the big ones. I just kind of like the energy. And I did find these pretty
Yeah,
clear
like
quartz
little race size.
points, or even little clusters. I was like, look, here's my best find. And it was that small.
Sweet.
But again, it's the energy there that was really unique. I think even compared to when we went to Chihuahua in Washington State, it just had a different energy. So the crystals held that energy. And so that's what we're sharing. So what I'm wearing is also crystal from there. And it took me a while to get used to it because it's pretty potent. I mean, that's an understatement. Because I also got one from my younger son. He's all into crystal. Well, he likes what mom has, right? So I brought him one, and he came to me after he wore it. He goes, Mom? I said, yes. He goes, it's kind of, I said, strong. intense. I said, well, you can, you don't have to wear it all the time. He goes, I like it. I said, okay, but just know that you kind of ease yourself into it. So we know that there is some kind of oomph to the energies in comparison to some other places we saw. So with that being said, I am going to switch back to and share my screen. Maybe, hold on. So that the others online can see the presentation. Okay.
And everyone just feel into this grid, see if you can feel the energy of these crystals, even in an image, it's really beautiful. And it's all situated over what we were told is a crystal city underneath, like Garrett was able to kind of look down and see. And so there's a lot of inner earth stuff going on.
I do want to have us go when they have the proper facilities.
Wouldn't that be fun?
And they're very nice people.
How long were they saying, like, before they would have facilities?
Right now, they're building a home that they're gonna move into, so then the current home they have, they're gonna probably have available for people to stay in, so with that and the studio, so I mean, maybe by the fall, maybe by next year.
Yeah, they were saying that, and they're pretty quick, but we don't know what that really looks like.
And they're trying to make sure that their decisions are also in line with the land and the people of the forest and not having too many people at once, although knowing the kind of people we are, they may allow a larger group.
Right. Because, everybody we know is very respectful. Well, majority.
The people we would bring along.
Okay. So if you're looking at the pictures, these are just unique, I guess, uniqueness about the place. They did create a very large stage. I mean, it is large, and they used to have concerts there. And so that's going to play a key role in our experiences as well.
Right, because they've owned the land since like 2009, but it didn't start being active with all this paranormal stuff till 2017.
Right.
So they just used to do regular stuff with it.
Yeah, normal things. Yes.
So my question is, it sounds like the owners of the land and the mine, they're sensitive to the energies of the forest people, because I hear you saying that they want to be really respectful.
Yeah, they
Initially, though.
no, they learned about them, I think in 2018.
Yeah, it wasn't till later, but so I know his background, Orville's background. He worked for the FBI and then for Homeland Security.
Oh my God.
So you're seeing, it's like, huh? And for him, that was like, what's going on? So he would approach things more as an investigation portion. And over time, he learned. So he made that shift. So that's why it's a good question. Because when he told us his background, I'm going, really?
Ironically, before they got this land, they used to live right by Mount Shasta, but they had to wake or aware then to know what they were by. And then they lived here, so no matter what, their higher energy bodies were up to something.
So they were being told to do this, but they weren't quite picking it up. So, and then of course we have our heart, everything we find, because whenever we're around Susan, we find hearts. And so that was something we wanted to keep in there. But there's like some open spaces that, what do they call that space? The landing space or?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember what they
Like
call it.
ships can come.
Yeah, and then, these would be bigger, but so we just like a collage of little things that we found. But overall, it looks like a normal space, normal outdoor location. Nothing, as soon as you walk into it visually, you would say, oh, there's something different. But energetically, you can feel it. So.
Yeah, that rock, the thing that Garrett started with, the rocks, it was like being with that all the time. You tapped in a little bit to feel the energy. As soon as you go there, you're just on that the whole time, day and night. You're like. And that's why we don't have fish. We
stopped trying to get Susan to be present because it didn't work. And then we all left, and eating food was interesting too.
Oh, that was interesting too.
Well, did you know that in Arkansas, they don't have green chili?
Don't get Mexican food.
No, don't get
Feed Spanish speaking Mexican looking people, because it's still not gonna be what you want to eat.
And so, do you have green chili? They said like they're like, what's green chili? And you looking like, it's a culture shock for us,
A good pasta.
Yeah, right. We're vegetarian.
I didn't go anywhere. Awesome.
So Susan, you want to talk about the trees?
There's a lot of structures like these all over the property. It was
Oh, wow.
really incredible. This one was like a little seat. It was so cool. And there's just, it's incredible, the amount of structures that were done by the Sasquatch there. The third or the second picture from the left is actually, that's the cedar tree for the nursery, actually, where the squashies put their babies in.
So it looks like an umbrella.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's all
And-
twisted in the top.
Right, and I didn't know this, but cedar, there's no bugs in the cedar, and that's why
Well,
they use it for
That's
their
why they
babies.
make the cedar chest.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
Oh.
you know, but you know from one time.
right, okay, so yeah, I knew it, but I didn't connect it.
Exactly.
I never thought about that. That's
I
so
guess it's
cool.
silly, but.
Well, no, it's how our society, we're removed from the natural part, you know, we know the deposits and the chests do it, but we forget the trees do it, cause
Right.
this is why we're rejoining, we're reconnecting.
Well, these aren't all cedars, right?
No,
No, just the one is.
The ones that we found that they put the babies in were all cedars.
Yeah.
The
Interesting.
only ones they did that.
but keep in mind, there were so many of these. So we just had a
Yes.
sample. I think between Amy and I, we probably had like 50 pictures of trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were everywhere. They weren't like one in, they were everywhere.
Yeah, that is part of what made it such an incredible place, because it wasn't just one and then you have to go a ways to find another. They
No.
were everywhere.
When you were there, you weren't checking for the vortexes the way we did with Mary's things.
No,
That
we
was
used
pretty
our
interesting.
gifts, so.
Oh,
we-
yeah.
We,
What you had with you.
Yeah. so I'm sure we'd go nuts. We could talk about.
We've
it.
all
be
been a
pretty
little
fun.
trained with Garrett since 2017, when he started taking us to sheep camp to naturally feel drawn to the portal. So we've
Right.
had a lot of practice, but
think-
anybody can learn it. And the tools are a great way to start affirming it for yourself until you can really feel it.
It's validating what you're picking up.
Yeah.
But I was born that way, so I always felt them. I thought everybody did. So for me, it was just like, oh, here's another one. But then it just makes sense when we can all start to sense things. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so the next was those unusual, they're not vines. They're actually trees. I think Susan and I took a lot of pictures of those too.
Yes,
Is
I
that somewhere where the
have
kids, the young Sasquatch play on the rounded, because they could climb up stuff like that easier, probably.
Well, I'm trying to remember, but there was a place on the property that Garrett coined as a nursery.
On
I
this
think a lot
property?
of a lot of this pictures that we took was on the nursery, in the nursery land.
Yeah,
Well, that was pretty remarkable up at the lodge in Bailey that,
Mhm.
I mean, it was like, wow. And there were a whole bunch of sticker bushes on front, so you couldn't get up there.
Right. Like
You
natural
know,
protection.
And the little ones wouldn't be able to easily get out either, so that was really cool.
And then every night moms would have to come here and flick it all out.
I had to do that with this one. Oh my God, it took me good 45 minutes pulling out little stickers.
But yeah, so I mean, it would make sense if it was vines. But they were like just younger trees that
Yes.
got wrapped around.
yeah.
Yes,
There's so much energy just coming from your presentation. It's pretty incredible. And I'm wondering, I know y'all mentioned that something about inner earth. It seems like it's a direct, if I may, like just say what I'm seeing and feeling, because it's almost, it's a lot of energy, that's projecting. And I wonder if it's just the Sasquatch, or if that's nature itself responding to this vortex, this stargate that is this land. Because what I'm seeing is it's connected directly, directly to inner earth. It's just
You're
receiving.
recording, so say some of
It's
that.
it's
That's
receiving
cool.
just so much inner earth energy.
I
Yeah,
felt a lot of elemental energy.
Yeah, just a
Yes.
lot.
Yeah.
of elements
Yeah, and I would agree. I think some of the trees that are bent sideways and are typical arches, those are the forest people, but the twisting vines, and later we showed it up there, but we'll show it again. The whole literal trunk of a tree is twisting, and I think that is the influence from the energy underneath. That makes a lot of sense. And there they've had beams of light come up from under the ground, not down from starships, but from the earth shining through, which is crazy. You don't hear about that stuff in real life.
It seems like it's a Stargate, a multi-dimensional, a quantum Stargate within the earth. And
Oh,
it's
yeah,
sitting-
we'll get to that.
Okay, because I was gonna say, is this sitting on a crystalline plate or something? Okay, because that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
All
that's,
right.
it's very
Okay, I'll-
unique.
I just wanted to know what I was
Right,
thinking
you're
was on target.
Mhm.
So this one was more at the base and it started twisting from there.
Yeah, it's kind of like if those little trees you just filmed, as they get older, what they might look like.
Yeah, and they stay there. But again, the trees themselves had those, the vibrations that we could feel. So it's pretty amazing. Let's see. Okay, so I know Amy was really excited about the multiples. It's like, he's the forestry. He had some people come out from the US forestry. I don't know what they're called, foresters. But anyway, they looked at them and they said, like, the number of these occurrences on the property was like off the charts, because they know what it looks like in the areas. And on that property, especially where we were looking at, they had so many trees that it's like to see a single tree was kind of rare, because you had all of these just growing up the multiple ones. So I think it also kind of ties back to what you were talking about.
These numbers might not be right, but I think what he said was that in a normal forest property that you find a multiple tree, like 1 out of every 17 trees, and on theirs it was like closer to 1 out of every 4 trees.
Something like that. Yeah, that's, like I said,
I could be wrong, this is
something like that. It was, yeah, it was something.
but it was something like that.
I can see in the one, 2 and 1 and,
Mhm.
there's just a whole bunch of them and
They lined up.
as you look back, you can see them.
And they're not trees that grew together. It's one tree that split.
Okay.
And he had them even like looked at, because this was his sciencey, what is going on here mind. There's like a lot of things that were interesting
Yeah.
that we wouldn't do, because we're just like, oh, but you can feel the portal. Why would you bother to?
Uh-huh.
Gail, you mentioned that they lined up. Was there some sort of symmetry or predictability that the like all the doubles would line up, or
You know what?
were they
I
interspersed?
I didn't think, because I'm too high. So I didn't.
Not myself right now, so that's why I'm asking the question.
Normally, we would figure it out if we found a really big obvious portal, we would
Mhm.
look and then notice there was other trees like this lined up to it, but we aren't sensitive enough usually to figure out what line it is until we find the
Right.
portal.
But
Right.
the occurrences were so much, and just being in that place, it feels like, and this, I don't know if you guys can add, but it's like there was like an invisible wall or something. You ask for permission and then you could enter. So once you cross that invisible line, the energy shifted. So then after that, I was just like, just like snapping pictures here and there. He'd point something out, but I don't know if I was very cognizant of a lot of things at that point.
Yeah, so what I'm getting is like doubles are kind of like the
Like markers.
mile markers.
Mm.
And then the triples, and hearing that there's several quadruples.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like your exit sign or your slow down, your speed limits. So they're different signs interspersed in the same area, but they have their own unique meaning. And so they will line up together, but also separately.
And I just got the feeling that some of them are holding in the energy like ley lines. They're not traditional ley lines, but they're helping to balance the way the energy is coming out from the inside outside, to probably slow it down and monitor it as well.
Yeah.
That's, I've experienced that a lot. I call it the fencing of the area.
maybe the next time when we go back, if we can, we may try to pay attention, but I doubt it. We're probably
I know.
One, we were trying to get our bearings because they were taking us around ways that we couldn't figure out exactly where we were in relation to other things. And I'm usually really good at that. And even I was like, where are we?
But I'm always lost, so it didn't make
Yeah,
any
I know,
difference.
me too.
That's interesting.
But
Yeah.
it's something that you really need to experience in person. Because I guess we really didn't expect when we got there. And it was amazing to be able to go places. And a lot of times when they're showing us things, we're already like, we're kind of wandering somewhere else because we're sensing.
We did frustrate Orville, I think, a little because he has this spiel because they do these paranormal tours and he's like, okay, I want to show you this one and this one. And we're like, but this one, that one. And he's gonna keep seeing a lot more there and be like, seeing a lot more than he's like trying to do his thing. And we're like, but we don't care about what you're saying.
Right.
You can already tell there's shit stuff. Like you should follow us and take notes. By the last day, he was chilling out and realized it
Yeah.
a bit. At first, he was more, you know, when you have a plan and people ruin it.
He didn't know, but you guys were so much beyond all of it.
And I think that's what he didn't know, right? Because he didn't know
He didn't
what to
know.
expect.
He didn't know. It was like.
Yeah, by the end, he was a lot more open and he was like, okay, maybe we will see if they know anything new I can add to the tour. People.
So these were interesting because if you notice, the tree is growing along the ground. So this is like
Oh, my.
offshoots of that. Same thing here.
Wow.
And there were a lot of those too. I can't point.
There was a lot.
Yeah, if you need a little laser.
I know, the
pointer.
lasers don't point on the screens. But yeah, so that was unique too. It's like,
So I guess for the people who can't see you pointing anyway, on the picture on the left, that is one tree that fell over and then grew like 7 more branches up that are like trees. At first, you don't even notice it. You just think, oh, that's a bunch of little trees. And then you're like, oh my
you get
God, that's one
closer.
tree.
that one tree that's got all of these.
Wow.
So that was fun to see those. So,
Yeah.
oh, there's another one. Like I said, I deleted a lot of my pictures because there's another tree. There's another tree.
It was such a state of amazement, just because at every turn that you looked, there was something cool, there was something new, a tree on the ground, an arch, the doubles leading away, it was
And
amazing.
I do want to say that in our forest here, even by Morrison, even anywhere,
Yeah.
we have this stuff. It's just that it was more frequent here. So if you were
Yes.
like, if it was your first time trying to learn it, it'd be easier here, but it's doable everywhere. And I think that the land will allow portals and such to form wherever it's taken care of and wherever it's loved. And portals are there anyway, but I think if there's land that's like owned by really curmudgeon people, they probably like close for protection over time, you know.
But
if
if
it's-
you.
Yeah, right. But this is just part of nature fostering these energies for us here. It's just really amplified at this spot.
So now when you go out yourself, you can pay more attention to
Yeah.
those things. And I think that's why we also included it as a means for you to be aware. And was that created by the Sasquatch? Maybe not, like you said, maybe it is the earth, and I think it's the earth, but it's the area. And why did it appear in that area that Garrett called the nursery? And so, it just makes you think about it.
Yeah, and they may recognize it and be drawn to these
Right.
kind of areas
Right.
because of the vortexes and the ley lines in
Mhm.
certain ways that support their life and energy.
True.
Right, they have higher
And
energy.
they're multidimensional, interdimensional qualities.
It's probably a bit of both, symbiotic. They come nurture and maybe even encourage
Exactly.
the growth, but
Right.
there was something there that drew them there in the first place.
They
So-
bought a nice apartment and kept it.
Maybe finished up some new pieces.
So the next, we saw a lot of arches, and some of those arches were portals.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And I say some because there were tons.
That were,
And some of them, I think, oh yeah, I have it in the next picture. Some of them were smaller, like the one at the far right.
Mhm.
It was, it wasn't this huge one. And so in the nursery area, we did see these little ones. I mean, they were shorter than
Yeah.
me. They were little.
Little 2 foot, 3 foot.
Yeah, and then that's when Orville said, these are the young ones practicing. And it was like, that makes sense, because they were so many, and it's like, why? And but you look at it and I started noticing that here's another one and here's another one. They're learning how to bend the trees or the branches or the trees without causing harm to.
And
Yeah.
probably how to actively open a portal, like
Right,
on
right,
another level we
right.
don't understand.
So, you know,
Yeah.
some of those little ones, you could feel the energies. So that was fun. Again, taking tons of those pictures because they were everywhere. But generally,
you-
when you see the bends, it's also like a marker to say, there might be something here,
Oh,
or
yeah.
it may be a portal. And that's one thing where Garrett taught us, before you just go in, you stop, ask for permission, and you will feel when one, you know, like a yes or no to be able to go in. If you get a no, you're like, fine, and walk away. Don't try to going into it, because, you know.
And
But
if you're not sure of your feelings yet, that's a good time to use the pendulums and
Mhm.
stuff, because they can be visual till you feel the yeses inside that go along with what you're seeing.
so the center picture is a unique setup, because actually the tree, they were still living. So if you look, it's this
Okay,
one.
sure, yeah.
It kind of has a rectangular like shape,
Mhm.
but it was still alive. It's not like somebody, you know, like bent the tree, broke the tree, made a frame.
Wow,
It was alive.
that's like in a square.
It
Yeah.
is,
And
it
then
really
you
is.
look, if you wanna look at the, if you look further in, it's actually fuzzy. So I have a more close-up picture of that.
Wow.
So are a lot of them, I mean, are all the arches alive or are some of them?
Yeah,
dead?
all the arches were alive.
They're all.
Yeah.
But the one in the middle is weird just because it's literally a square from the bottom too, so it's like extra.
So the tree laying down, think. I think that's separate from this one.
Yeah, then the square.
Yeah, it's a different tree
Yeah.
that comes across, but still it all goes
But it goes and
together.
connects up with the top. I mean, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's an
Well,
interesting.
And there was like one area, he calls a certain area the event site, and that is where the light opened up and came from underground. And there's like really tall 15-foot arch after arch. It's like
Right.
every 7 feet, there's an arch. And it's normally 2 trees connecting together,
Right.
not just one.
Wow.
And again, it's all over the place. The X's, we talked about the X's at the
Yeah.
retreat. That's your markers again. I said, this one looks like an A, sideways A.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, Gayle. I said, well, you could. Well, I saw the sideways A before I saw the X.
And when you form a relationship with the force people, we haven't worked with them through glyphs strictly because we're sensing other things, but I know some other people we've met who don't sense as much or haven't learned to open that up. They work way more with the glyphs, and the force people will leave a specific glyph that means that person's name. Like they'll leave their own name, and they'll leave the person's name, and they'll leave them everywhere. So that's a way you can work with them.
Mhm. So in this picture,
And you can
these
leave
are
them
not,
glyphs.
those are, they're dead. This one's a dead one, I think. This is an alive X. So it depends.
Yeah.
And how they place it. But it's interesting, you know, it's like, oh, somebody else could do that. Yeah, they could, but it's a big place. I mean, how you're gonna go there and, you know, so who knows?
Well, it normally marks some type of spot, or it's right in front of one of those trees we're supposed to look up at.
Right.
Like usually there's something there.
So it's like pay
In the
attention to
area.
those.
Yes.
Like literally like the little treasure chest X marks the spot.
Right.
Which is probably why they picked X's.
I think what's amazing is what it feels like to me is what we're seeing the earth respond to. It's like this, it's almost like a different ecosystem. I mean, it's a different dimensional reality, how the earth is responding to the energies. You know what I mean? It's manifesting in a different way because it's not our normal space and time.
Correct.
It feels like there's one ginormous ship underneath this. This is what it
That's why
feels
we
like.
didn't know what day it was.
But anyway, I don't know, I mean, I don't have the scientific words for it, but it's obvious, it's like you all were standing on a patch of land that was completely out of our normal space and time.
Right.
Just a different dimensional.
And it was like
reality.
kind of hard to wrap our heads around because we went there to see the forest people. So we were thinking of it like sheep camp or like somewhere we've been. So I think it's taken a couple weeks of being back to actually put it all together too, because when we're there, we're just like, well, we're flying and shit's happening. I don't know.
It's a tree, and
It's like you're at Disneyland, and after that, you can, you know, kind of take in everything that you've
The
experienced.
one on the left, there's actually several X's and Y's in the back,
Yeah, the one.
all the
Yeah.
way back. The
Yeah,
one,
It's like a.
yeah, way back, yeah. A couple of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this one is an interesting one. Throughout the property,
Oh, my.
crystals, well, they're big, they're not little ones, were placed into trees. And didn't he say they take them down and then it gets put back up?
Yeah, they did that with a lot of them. They take them down, put them up, and a couple of these big shows would put up like the cameras. And then they'd say, take them down. And once they did that, they
They
never
didn't-
got put back
yeah.
up again. Like, they're like, no, we're not gonna show ourselves on camera. Forget it. We'll go put one in this tree instead.
Yeah.
But what was interesting with this one, well, for some reason, the dimensions of the screen is a little bit, it's truncating it, but if you look at this one, it looks like a face, or even that one.
Yeah.
It does.
Right.
So when I walked up to there, like, oh, you wanna touch it? I went, I don't know. It looks like the grouchy man looking at it. Like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
the one in the corner does too, in the left.
but you see how it's in a tree that it's grown in, it's put into three.
Are those
quartz?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the quartz that's made.
It's
natural
kind of
there.
like it picked it up while it's growing.
Well, they could happen, but
And
what
it
Orville said.
could
it
have been
was-
somebody put it in there, you
they
know,
put it in
like,
there.
Well, like there's another crystal underneath that.
I know, I
definitely has
see
been
it.
Placed in.
And there's several spots on the property that they've done that.
Well, and
Yeah.
another thing this just reminded me of, which maybe would come up later, but either way. Orville, there's been a lot of UFO activity there,
Mhm.
and they think that the ships are coming and actually taking some of the crystals or energy from the crystals because of what's underneath. So it's kind of like this energetic.
oh, they
Yeah,
have
they-
tapped into the crystals into the,
Okay. Looking on your Google Maps, where's the next?
right?
Cosmic gas.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Exactly.
And it makes,
And then all
and
the
it
stuff
makes
just
sense.
works its way up and out
So
and.
they come to weird places.
Cause the whole ground, all the gravel, everything is just these crystals that are holding all this energy.
Wow.
Are they all about the same size?
No, they're all over. There's
Yeah.
little bitty.
And some of them were different types of rocks too. What's one, a
Mhm.
rose quartz or something?
Yeah, there was rose
Yeah.
quartz and then.
Don't they have, was it
Wow.
epidote, the one with the green as
Yeah,
well?
yeah,
Yeah.
so there's some of them are unique stones, you know, like, it's like, can I have it? You know, but I'm not touching it, but it's some nice stuff.
I know, it was really hard. The first day was like, oh, it's no problem, this is sacred. By the last day, we're like, look at that one, just look at it. It's like this big, and if we drove, we could take crystals off. But they did give us some of the
Yeah,
sacred ones
they did.
from the sacred spots that they were like, okay, we're called to let you have that. We're like,
Okay.
Were the rock faces guardians, Gayle? Did y'all feel like they were guardians of the land?
I think actually that was in front of that cabin area.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be, because there was people who would rent it, this cabin, and a lot of activity, didn't he have like.
well, yeah,
climbing
because
on it?
before they knew this was what was going on between 2019 and 2017, they built a cabin and they let the people ride their ATVs all over. So it was like an ATV thing. And so when they would sleep, things would come bang on the doors, and they scared the shit out of the people so much they quit renting the cabin.
Oh, good.
They're
Yeah,
probably like,
exactly. You know, they took care.
You can look this up, we're gonna wake you up, right?
Yeah, right.
No,
But
they
you
have
can-
some haunted name for it. We're like, it's not.
I know, I
haunted,
can't remember the name.
but it did not feel good still.
No.
Oh.
Cause they went inside and Garrett was like, get out. We're like,
Yeah.
okay.
In the cabin?
Right now.
Was it an abandoned cabin? at
Yeah.
that point?
Well, it was newly built, and even like the insulations, things are all coming down, so. But you walk in there and it's a heaviness in there,
Oh,
and you're like, well, the insulation's coming
Well,
down too, I don't. know.
doing that. Using those, you don't know what kind of damage they could have
Mhm.
done.
But you remember, if
to
you
the
have a person who just bought
forest.
this land and said, hey, we can build, they were building
Campground.
campgrounds.
Right, they were trying to
camp
find ways
spots
to make
and-
it worth their
Yeah, and
investment.
then it never worked. Well, there's a reason why. It's like
Yeah.
the shepherds of the land saying, oh, no, no.
Mhm.
But eventually they woke up and as well and
Right.
are now shepherds of, you know, it's like the right people bought it, but they had some ideas first that they wanted to try.
So this is one that was unique because it's like, there's so many other trees. But this just one tree, and it goes pretty far up, if you can see this picture, there's no bark. It's shredded. You know, if it was an animal like a bear or deer or something, it would look much lower. It's pretty much the whole tree.
The whole tree.
And is that a cedar tree?
I think
It
so.
is a cedar tree.
Because when
Yeah.
we, so I'm like, I can't, so when I touched it, I felt like they're using it for like thatching or something. But I tried, it just fell apart. So they probably got to do something else with it, but you know, but so it was unique because. Only
And there
that
was-
tree.
I
And it
feel
was
like
near
there
a
was
pond.
2 or 3 of them total that we found, weren't there?
I don't, yeah, I just remember this one place that was close to another portal that we looked at. But I did pull some of the, well, I didn't pull it off, actually, I
It
did
was
put it on
already
the ground,
ground, yeah.
yeah. And it did have that buzzy energy too.
Are animals able to live at this vibration?
Yeah, they have animal, there's cats at that property,
Okay.
There's
the
also
ninja cats, cause like, they would sneak up on me all the time. I'm like bending down to look at something and they come and rub up against me and scare the crap out of me.
We did find that there was less squirrels and birds than you would have thought, though.
True.
Like,
That's
I
what it
think it
looks
was
like.
less.
Yeah, the
than
more you
we
go into.
Now, when
that
you
area-
say the cats, are you talking about energetic?
No,
or
real cats, real cats.
Like they had cats, they rescue strays, and so when they
Oh,
have strays, they had like 2 or 3 that lived in the home, but all the boy cats, they live outside and they feed them and they take care of them. But, and they pretty much follow Orville around
Right.
the whole time.
Yeah.
So they're really well taken care of. But there was like 7 cats on the property and
so.
like 4 boys that would follow us all over,
Yeah.
and they would continue to skip.
Cause but I'm also allergic to cats, I mean, I love them, but and so they would always try to come to me like,
Mena.
oh. But it was interesting that, cause I'm in the zone.
Yeah, she's looking at a portal
And
and
then
then
they come
she
and
rubs
rub
her
against
leg
it.
and she, yeah.
That's why I call them ninja cats.
Oh, God, I love it.
It just broke up your like serious.
Yeah,
energy.
it's, they must have been fixing. So this tree, when they, well, this is a unique tree, so it's the same picture, it's just a close-up. The whole trunk is twisted.
And you know that feels like it's
Right.
because of the earth portal. It's
Right.
like on one of those portals
Mhm.
and it's just twisting as it grows. Cause I've not noticed that here.
Mhm.
I might look more intently, maybe I
I
just
mean,
haven't
yeah.
looked.
not like that, I've seen like the oak trees that are like, oh, they're kind of twisted anyway, so I've seen some of those, but not like that one with everything else being okay. This is the only one right there that was, like, the whole thing was twisted, cause you could see moss was growing at one time in this spot, but as it shifted, it's going what's supposed to be, but you still got traces of where the moss used to be.
Well, you can, just follow the lines. They just keep spinning. So that one was interesting. That was not in the nursery, but
Well, it's
Kind of on the
further
back
down, I
end.
think.
Yeah.
But this is close to where there was a portal. So that could be another indicator. So that portal I was telling you about. If you look at it, and it's not my camera, if you look right there, you see how fuzzy it gets? But everything else was clear.
Yeah, it's fuzzy.
So it's like, you're not supposed to see what was here, right? So
Mhm.
like,
or just the dimensional
Right.
shift.
keep moving, keep moving.
And if it is a different picture, she has the one where it's like 2 pictures taken back to back and one's clear and the next one's.
Yeah,
that
so I've got that
fuzzy.
one coming up too.
Ah.
But I mean, again, so there's these. And remember, I'm just taking picture because I thought it was cool, not knowing what else is coming on. But half the time I think I don't remember because there's a couple might have videos going, when did I turn that on? And I'm walking, so the thing's moving. So yeah, again, I was high. And so the portals, this one was very interesting energy. You could feel it. It's small because like the cat would just go in there and it was like walk and then it would lay down. So like, maybe not, yes, it is a portal. You could feel it. And that's roses. These are the roses and they kept growing in those arches to create that. And
We found this one because there was a hill and you could see the Sasquatch footprint, like not a clear muddy print, it was a lot of leaves, but you could see where a huge foot stepped and then it was all over. They would kind of like step and go down the hill and we walked next to it and our feet didn't make the same
Mhm.
size of leaf prints. at all.
or the indentation as much, yeah. Because we were lighter.
So we started out being like, oh my God, look at all these prints. And then we looked over and we're like, oh,
What's
there's the
that?
portal.
It's a small one, but it's a portal. Okay, so this is another portal. This is the first shot that I took. I was like,
Wow.
so remember, I'm taking, and we really didn't look at it till, was it 2 weeks?
It was like at least a full week after we
Yeah.
got back, maybe 2.
And so I'm like, wow, there's a rainbow. Right, so I'm like, oh, that's cool, so when we saw it after the fact. Now, this is right after that picture, and look at how fuzzy it is. How could
Fuzzy.
my phone have, shifted that much? So I think it was like, oh no, she saw it. Okay, now I know you did it. Yeah, so it's very interesting, and if you look, the sides of it are not that fuzzy. It's just right where that portal was. Where the rainbow was. You're doing the Carissa too.
So like
So,
we're all inside of the ship right now, just saying.
so now that you guys will be high like we were.
Beam of light.
But because you're here, you are connecting with these energies, and
Of
if you don't
course.
ever go, it won't matter
Because
because
you're
you're now initiated into this connection, and you'll
Right.
feel things in our forest that maybe you would have missed because it'll be in your field.
So that's why we also have rocks that came back so you can feel that energy. So this, I mean, I really didn't pay attention because I've seen these before, but Orville showed me. So like, that's kind of like on the left side, that's like a normal, I hit the break, that looks like it wasn't too bad, but then he showed me this one, the bigger one. It was kind of like obliterated, but it wasn't a dead.
It wasn't like decomposed
Yeah,
like you
it
would
wasn't-
expect
it
to
was
do that, it
solid.
was still hard.
He said something pretty big had to have stepped on that to make it just,
Probably more than once. you know,
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
a
it's in the
group or
path.
something.
yeah, it probably was the path. So I was like, so I went and tried to step, on something, it didn't do anything.
And you gotta think of that as a message too, because they know how to energetically be lighter
Mhm.
and be light of foot and not leave prints. When they leave prints, normally it's because they want you to know it.
So
So.
something wanted us to see it. And it was buzzy, again, like I'm like, oh, and because Orville's trying to show the scientific side and I'm, so, oh, did you feel the energy? He goes, okay, let's move on.
He
So
was like,
he's
yelling,
accepting, but
"I'm out."
he's not quite there,
Well, and if he couldn't
Now,
get
is
us to move on, that's
Orville
when
the
he'd go
one-
just step over, get the
Yeah.
cigarette.
Is Orville the one that had been part of Homeland Security and all?
Yes,
Healed
yes.
property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this, then regardless of how much he's seen now, this is all still pretty new and,
But they see so much
You
on
guys,
all the time.
they do.
That it's just
but
like,
they may not always
They don't. see
interpret it in the
everything.
same way, right?
Exactly.
See it for what it is,
And
yeah.
he's correct if I'm wrong, but I think Orville was showing us things that other people showed him.
right.
Right.
So it's not like they.
Because
came
he's
across
still
it.
learning,
Right,
yeah.
except for that one, that makes it, because then that's the scientific side of it.
Gayle,
Yes.
If I can just real quick, you passed around the stone 2 weeks ago at the retreat. And I picked it up, I held it for a little while, played with it, interviewed it, it interviewed me. And it felt like this, it felt like this crystal skull energy. And what I'm really feeling is that this energy is different. It feels very platinum to me, like a white light platinum, and it feels masculine. Did y'all have a sense of, did you have a sense of that? Like, did it feel a balanced masculine and feminine on the land, or did it? This is higher than I'm used to feeling. So, because it feels a little bit more masculine to me. It feels.
You're right, it does feel more masculine, when I hold the rocks and stuff.
It feels like stark white platinum light coming in, and it feels very similar to the crystal skull energy of the crystal that I picked out of your bin. Anyway, I just, that's good, not to get us off track, but I was just wondering, because it's just so strong.
Well, I got a whole bunch you guys can feel and see if you can feel me,
I think the forest was very balanced, the energy there, because the trees and such, depended, it didn't. But I do see what you're saying, just this, the power of each of the stones kind of does have more of a masculine overlay of the crystals themselves.
So I'm like taking myself back to when we walked into the nursery area, that was feminine energy,
Yeah, it was.
definite feminine energy. But the crystals, I think they held more masculine, I don't know, but yeah, that makes it, but I know that nursery was all, it felt like grandmother's there watching, going, don't be messing with my babies.
I also feel that a lot of the forest, as Chris said, was balanced, masculine, feminine. But the crystals, I do see where a lot of that, there is more masculine energy coming.
It's like not warrior, but the get it done.
It's thrusting energy, it's thrusting light. It's strong,
It's
strong.
thrusting
strong.
light.
Like a, yeah, I don't. know
It's
the word for it.
impregnating us all. We have beautiful energy.
Or we'll see some people, yeah,
I
it's
do
for a
not
baby
consent.
or something like that.
Yeah. I can set to the light entering my field, but no baby.
Ovaries on light.
So,
Yeah.
glyphs. Glyphs are what are placed by something. We believe it's a Sasquatch. And one way to know that it was placed is that if you were to move it, not only that it's fuzzy, but there's no indented that it's been there a long time. And so it's like, you're like, well, I went here, I didn't see that before. So we have many of that up throughout. And more, and most of us, we don't want to move, we just keep walking, right? But I think we start to become more aware of them. So again, something to watch for when you're walking, the glyphs. Here are more glyphs. And they're not in a regular shape. So like this one here, that's just one, but it's a Y shape. And there's a significance to the Y-shaped branches in many aspects, but they're placed in specific spots, and it is in front of you. You will, you'll once you start being aware of them, you'll see them.
Yes.
So again, they got that the A or the X, or it's just weird things, and you're like, that's just a broken, that's just the twigs that fell down. It could be. But for my way to think of it, and a lot of us, we go ahead to see the energy. I feel like you feel nothing like, it's just natural. Because yes, it could happen in nature too. But we just started noticing things.
The one on the left is real interesting. The larger stick looks like a snake.
I know, that's
And
what
the eye, and then it almost looks like it's holding a smaller piece.
Yeah, true. But yeah, that was a cool one that you took a picture of. It's neat.
That one's really cool. Yeah.
So now we're gonna go into. There's a significance of 7 and 4. And it really stems from, it started with Orville. You want to get the story?
Well, doing the things that he does, he asks the Sasquatch for things. So since we were there, he just started putting together ideas. He was like, okay, there's 4, because Garrett's been there before, but Gayle, Carissa, myself, and Amy have not. So we were 4. And then he came up with Denver, because we're all from Denver. So he said, okay, so 4, Denver.
And I think it's his analytical side, is how he works with them by asking for things and then they show him the proof and it helps him to believe it's there. And then that's how he's kind of formed this relationship.
Exactly.
Because we were like, we don't need anything from them or full, and he kept being like 7 and 4, like throughout the forest.
Denver, it was Colorado.
No, it was
Denver, because we were from Denver, so
Right.
for Denver. And then we had gifted him a copper ring.
The
a
tensor rings,
bracelet,
your
tensor
bracelets.
rings. Yeah, tensor bracelets. And so he's sitting in the.
This was like hours later, like at night. they
He's like,
came to our
yeah.
Something
the
with
hours
copper too. right?
Yeah, so then he says it's a copper, yeah, something with copper, so it's 4.
Well, see, I thought when he
Denver.
got the tensor ring that he was actually getting a response from them, because he had yelled in the forest 4 in Denver all day. But then he was like, oh, I feel like their gift is gonna be something with the copper circle, because we gave that to him.
Right, true.
So I thought
Yeah,
he was
that's
feeling
possible.
it from them at that point,
That could be.
but I don't
Was
know.
there another one, or was that?
So the 7 has to deal with
The
the
7 was the
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch
Yeah.
number, that's
Yeah.
it, there was one more, yeah.
So he threw it out there, and then we went and did our things. We went on a tour.
Yes. And then so later on in the, getting close to the evening, we would go and we would sit on the stage. And we were just looking for, cause he's got like, what is the line? There's a,
Oh, it was, if you remember when you used to like 2 cans to a string,
Mhm.
Yeah.
He did something similar, but it was a metal.
On a bigger scale.
Yeah, a very metal.
and was it a bell or?
No, there was like I don't forget what it was, but it was one at the stage and then it ran all the way across to another tree. And then there was another piece of it. So that was what was.
So they could
Right.
hear us and we
Yeah.
could hear them without
Right.
being so.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's more for you, so you can sit on the stage and hear them without having to go close to them. I
Right.
think that's what he thought about.
And then we were like looking for lights and just looking for activity. And so then the cats came out and they started shuffling, fighting on the stage, and he was like, this is weird, they never fight. So then he got up and he went back into the other room, and then because they have like a recording room, and he called us all in there, and there was a penny on four different
chairs.
4 chairs. And when we looked at them, they were all 1947
oh, wow.
Denver pennies.
And we would have
Yeah.
went into that room
Maybe-
earlier.
No.
Because originally they were gonna have us watch a slideshow. When we left our walk together, we were supposed to reconvene at the slideshow and then we didn't. But then the cats got in a fight and drew it to the room anyway.
Yes,
Oh, they did that.
yes.
Wow.
And she's right, it was like two in the front and then 2 in the back, they were on chairs.
Yep.
And so we have to admit, I know we're all thinking like, Orville, did you do that? You know, like, you got that down, but when we picked it
But who also keeps 1920s
Denver ones. And it was buzzy, it was very buzzy,
Oh, yeah. You
and
could
I
feel
tried
it.
to take pictures.
Oh, her camera was glitching out. She was trying to take a picture and the screen was just black and white, black and
Flashing.
black. and-
Wow.
And I'm like, don't mess with my feet, that's all I got. But it wasn't, and then I'm trying to do a video, it was not picking up,
Right.
but it, there's some.
You could tell there was energy interference, so.
Cause we were up close too, and it was just doing things I'd never seen before
Yeah.
do, so
Yeah.
you know, like,
It was
okay.
weird.
And I still had some level of skepticism just because I don't know, I'm meeting these people too, right? Like it's our first time. But on Saturday, we went to the hot springs. We took a break from their tours and we went out of town and we did some different things. And when we finally made it after like a whole day of trial to get to this hot springs, we get there and they give us our locker keys and our locker key is 47 and their locker key is 17. And
Right.
you're like, oh,
Yeah.
They
like,
just
you
said-
know, you can't, they were trying to.
17.
Yeah.
17,
So
so.
tell
I was
the
just gonna
7.
say 74.
Yeah. It didn't go that high.
Yeah.
If it did, they would have done it.
Okay.
So going back to the glyphs. There's the 7th. This one was the next day,
Yeah.
when, you know, we had 17 and I said, there's the missing 4.
Wow.
And the 7 and 4s have followed us all
Yeah,
the way
we got
back.
more story.
Yeah, so they've continued to validate, no, Orville didn't just plant the pennies despite, you know,
Right.
but they've continued to show us 7 and 4s in random places.
We are human and we have a right to question, you know, so this, you know, it's like saying, well, you question that, let me just show you. But really what stopped me, we're just walking on the path, was this unusual, I don't even know what it was. It kind of looked like a dried up flower or something with, you know, like pebbles on there. Then I noticed the 4. Then I said, there's the missing 4.
There's the 4.
Right here,
It's the one on the right.
there's a 4.
Oh, that one, yeah.
The week after we got back, I had to take my son to the doctor
Oh,
for
I see.
something and we ended up
Oh,
behind a
gotcha,
car
gotcha.
and it was Arkansas 47 plate. And I don't even ever see Arkansas. I mean,
I
you know,
know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there it is, still there.
If you were
still
down
going.
before. Well, that's, so just, I guess, since we're talking about that and coming back. I my husband was already sleeping, went into my bathroom and there was a penny sitting on, you know, the vanity, and I'm going, what's a penny doing here? You know, like thinking, why would he leave just a penny? If anything, he leave like a whole bunch of coins, but he never leaves it in the, you know, on the kitchen, I mean, the bathroom vanity. So then I pick it up. And it was buzzing. I forgot, was it 74, 47,
I think it was a 74.
74,
Yeah.
Denver. And I'm like, okay, and then you guys had stuff happen too.
Right.
Wow.
I got 2 71 pennies back to back. And it was, she'd already had hers and I'm like, well, they're not gonna leave me pennies because my kids leave shit everywhere. And I sat down to play a card game with my son and I got up and there was a penny underneath me.
Yeah.
And it hadn't been there, cause I was, we were already all thinking,
Uh-huh.
oh, pennies, we're paying attention to pennies. I pick it up and it's a 71 and it's buzzing. So I go and I'm doing other stuff and I take the laundry down and I come back up and under the laundry basket, there's another 71 penny. So,
And Gail, 2 weeks ago, when I thought that I wouldn't be able to make the weekend, and you and I were texting, I was in my car in the school parking lot. And so it's the end of the school day, and right when we were done texting, I left the school parking lot and a Jeep pulled out in front of me, and it was, I believe that the license plate, I believe, with the Sasquatch. And I was like,
Well, there's your sign.
it had nothing to do with 74 or 17, but
But there's your sign.
they're always, and I know there's lots of Sasquatch paraphernalia and pictures
Mhm.
around. But
That's
it-
cool. Timing.
the timing was,
Yeah.
I mean, it put right in front of me, and right after I finished texting.
they're like, by the way, you still need to go.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I would add that in. because,
Yeah, it's crazy. I also, in my bathroom, found a penny. And I didn't actually believe it either, because I was like, oh, even though there was no way really for it to get there, because mine was a 1940 wheat back penny. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just don't find wheat backs like that, not
No.
1940.
So it's,
And-
I guess it's our validation for us.
Yes.
Especially to help us have more faith in Orville.
Yeah.
Because he's such a,
Yeah,
if you meet him, you'll get it. He's
Yeah.
a character, so.
Oh, he's
like, are you
total
just fucking with
character.
us for a whole thing? But no, it was, and they were buzzy and they were even glitching out. the camera.
exactly. There was one other day too, back that I was kind of just having an off day, not the greatest of day. And I don't really see pennies that often anymore, but on this day, I was just feeling kind of off. I opened my door and there's a penny on the ground.
They're like,
I was
okay,
like,
we're
okay.
We should have tried with the $100 bill, you know? But it happened. And Amy, said she found 2 pennies too. I forget
Yeah,
what that was about, but she goes, I hardly find pennies. So, we ask for validation, what you get, why are you questioning it? Sorry, but, next morning, when my husband got up, I said, did you leave a penny, in the bathroom? He's like, why would I do that? He goes, I saw it before I went to bed. And I said, okay, but you didn't put it. He goes, no. I said, okay, thank you. So I didn't tell him anything else, but I'm like, here we go.
Oh, fun.
All right, so we saw the 7, and then the 4s. This was an interesting, so. This is a little video clip, and hopefully the people online can get it, but you see, there's that Y looking thing,
The glyph in the middle.
the glitch in the middle picture. I saw that first on the staff. In the meantime, Garrett and Cheryl, the wife of the, well, she's an owner too. They were on the other side and there was a footprint. So I'm gonna play this little video for you. Try again. Here is the marker on the road that I found. And it goes right across to the area where we found.
Now residual energy and residue.
So the big leap is up here and that crystal point is at the top. I was like, that's really unusual, because they were looking at that. I had no idea what they were
And
looking
what-
at.
Oh, no.
And then I saw that, I'm going, that's
And the Y
indicating
pointed
something.
straight there.
Right.
Yeah, will you go back to the picture? Did you see the circle in the grass? Did y'all make a circle in the grass?
This one?
If you go back, I'm sorry, the picture on the left, if you go back to it, the video, maybe.
the
Oh, the video, okay, I
Sorry,
can play it
yeah.
again. Let's try again.
Well, no, I mean, before that,
Oh,
before.
got it.
And I just saw it again.
This one?
No, if you go back to where you starts, so stop right there. Do you see the circle formation in the dirt? There's a circle, very clear.
Look at the grass.
Look at the dirt on the ground. It's a circle around. Is the footprint inside of the,
Yes,
not the left side.
Yeah,
There's
exactly
a-
there.
There's a very
over.
clear demarcation of a circle in the dirt itself all around.
that is true back there. Yeah,
Deep,
yeah, right there.
but it's a perfect circle.
I do see it.
I'm not seeing,
find
where
that
is
to
it?
be,
Sure,
a
just show
signature
me.
of At least.
On the
past
top?
image.
About synergy.
Yeah,
Okay.
vortex or existence. So sometimes they'll manipulate that, and I use the foliage, the ground stuff, to look for those things. Different types of grasses right in the middle of you know. All others, or shapes. It's usually an energy signature, typically previous, it is previous in this case, but.
That's what it looks like.
see
It's marking some sort of.
Do you see
sort of
what
a
she-
vortex.
Do you want to come show?
I'm not very good. I can't.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Sorry, everybody.
Don't be sorry. You're good.
Okay, because you know what, close up, you can't see. Oh, yes, you can.
It's right there.
Oh, that's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Okay, I did see it. It is like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the leaves are creating like a ridge that creates a perfect circle, okay?
they're kind of
So that's totally off.
there
I
in
didn't see
between
that
there,
one.
yeah.
it's marking something.
Yeah.
Because they have a perfect circle in there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it did rain, but why would it rain like that, right?
Well, and like I was saying, the greenery is growing
In
in
that-
that formation.
Is
So
the
there's
footprint inside of it?
something.
No.
No, it's further down.
The other one.
Well, no, actually, yeah, that's where the prints are. Let me play the
But I
video.
think in the
again.
video, it's further over,
Yeah, so let me play it again.
but there could have been another
fine.
print in there that we missed. Cause it's in line.
Marker on the road that I found. And it goes right across to the area.
Goes right across that circle, and then goes over more.
Yeah, the footprints inside. the-
Mhm, It is.
So the big loop is at the heel and the crystal point is at the
Now, you really wouldn't see it because it kind of just blended in.
Yeah.
I think Garrett felt it.
Garrett felt it.
I just saw it's a more obvious thing. What is that?
Now, are you looking at, there's, because there's a Y on the left in the center. But is it the big one in the middle, that rounded one?
That's the one in the middle is what I saw first that led me to start to line thing up, because Garrett it's not a road, it's just, it's a dirt path.
Right,
But
right.
they were on the other side and I just happened to be wandering and I saw
And
the
like,
glint first. And then I turned around, I go, oh, and then I put my video on and that's what happened.
cool.
Okay, so. Let's try again. No, we're not trying again.
That's
And there were some other footprints along.
Oh, wow.
We kind of had to be, well, watch when we were walking, but
Right.
again, we double checked by going and feeling, is that feeling the energies and stuff? So that was a lot of fun. We would, find things or is that a human print? We're still skeptics, even though we're experiencing it, and then we try to use our intuition to kind of guide us through it. And that was really how Garrett had taught us how to do it. And then now we understand what they mean, because it's pretty much been throughout. That's what we saw.
Is that 2 prints in one?
They did what?
It kind of does, like
Yeah,
the heel
that's-
foot.
Yeah, so like
Oh,
Parent-
that one?
parent went and the little
Oh,
one.
that one?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could never
So
be.
it's like-
I was asking everybody to send me pictures of the footprints, because I said, I don't know where mine went, and probably didn't take any. So that could be double prints. Here's another one, which is more obvious,
Mhm.
so it's like, we didn't do plaster casts, like everybody, we don't really do that, we just think it's cool.
Orville did have 2 on display from previous.
that is true.
footprints, though,
That is
and those were still buzzy, even the plastic cast. was
Yeah,
buzzy.
it was still buzzy. And here's more.
One of they had like a display shelf, and one of the things made all of us just like,
It's pretty, because it's like a compilation of everything, it's like, okay, overall, let's just.
And one of the rocks was in the event site during when the event was happening, so they pulled it out and it was just.
Yeah, like, okay, he just thought it was funny that we were blasting. Okay, so we're gonna go into, we call it offerings. I remember when I did a interview with someone and they said, well, why do you call it offerings? Why don't you call it gifts? I said, because we're offering it. I mean, we just
It's the
always
same
call it,
thing.
yeah, it's like, so potato, whatever you want, we just called it offerings. So we had, from our experience before, we found out that they don't like the healthy stuff. They want it because they probably get that all the time. They like the candies and the
The crackers.
And honey and.
so
Oh, nice.
Garrett had told a story when he first went there. He went with Whole Foods or something. He bought everything organic, right? Healthy foods. He spent like Yeah, a lot of money. And he put it out there and somebody else was with him and he put in the junk food. you
Dollar
know?
donuts,
Yeah,
cookies.
yeah.
And the junk food was
The
gone.
junk food was gone and Gary's like, that's it, I'm not gonna buy healthy foods anymore. But the first thing we had learned was they do like Reese's peanut butter cups. And so, we did bring those,
But you gotta unwrap them and take all the wrappings away.
right, yeah.
Right.
Leave no.
Not
trace.
Because
leaving
they don't, well, probably, especially if you get the little ones.
But they also do like corn.
Yeah, we've done the corn and we've done some good stuff and they.
But you add the chocolate to your pile of corn and
Yeah, and
peaches
the
and
cookies.
honey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can make a smorgasbord.
So, so that picture with the cookies, what was his name? Was it Bill? I think it was Bill.
The
So
cat.
we put the cat. So I think Susan put that down and I just took a picture and then, and then we saw there's some crumbs or something. So Bill started eating that. So we all left and then Orville goes, Bill, where are you? I'm thinking, I think he's eating the cookies. He got a sweet tooth. But there are several tables that they have where you can put things. And so that's just one of them. And Garrett made this design.
I like
Yeah, and
that.
they have different things from different people having given off.
So he
Right.
kind of took some stuff, but he brought the marbles, this unique marbles. Okay. And then we did another table. Well,
This was up by the landing site.
Right.
There was a
Yeah.
grassy area that ships had landed at.
I'm Cheryl's supposed to be sending me the picture of the after picture, but that was the last day. I mean, we put everything on there. So there were shells, but that was the junk food. And I'm pretty sure that the cats and the critters there, because so one thing I want to say is that when we would go back to look at the tables, no crumbs. Not a single crumb, not a single half-eaten one. They were totally gone.
That's what was kind
Which
of
is
amazing,
different
because there was
Including the
nothing.
shells and everything.
No, the shells were there.
The
The
shells
shells
stayed,
were
but all the
They-
food.
They didn't take the shells.
No.
All right.
But we've been before and there's like, or there's like, they leave some things. But over there, there's nothing, no crumbs, no nothing, which was unusual. Cause if an animal did, there's gonna be crumbs,
Right.
especially like a squirrel or bird, but nothing was there. All right.
And we didn't see that many squirrels and birds. There was a
That's
couple.
true, but not many. So this is one is that we didn't even realize it. So this is the only shots that I could find to show what happened afterwards. So this is the one on the left with the circle. That's a piece of wood, I think, and there was nothing on the wood when we set up.
And this table isn't super high vibrational area. It's where the lights were coming up and it's where another rock, which later has moved itself. It's like within a
Oh.
field that is now magnetized and the poles are changing and this table's in there.
So next to that piece of wood, this piece here, that's a clock. And what Orville would do was take a look at the clock to see what time it is before we would go on our adventure to go around. When we came back, it was like an hour behind. But it was the right time when we left.
Oh, wow.
It's
You know,
probably
kind
space
of
and
time
time.
portals are.
Exactly.
And this one is in that room.
But all of our stuff that was on us was correct. So he likes to do that, and that makes sense. So then again, we got that. And so that's what we noticed, and they did move some things. But I saw, it's like, I had to zoom in. On that block of wood,
Mhm.
there's marbles. There
Yeah.
wasn't marbles.
Is it
there-
marbles? It looks, yeah, it's green, but it's
So
green.
there's marbles. Some of them were not always, Garrett's joining. Shh, everybody, don't talk about Garrett anymore. He joined us online. So that was an unusual one that we found. But wait, there's more. So it's showing how it started off. He had his heart. He put in all the, and notice he put like a pattern of the way the marbles were placed. Came back, it was kind of a mess. There was nothing there.
Mhm.
Was this when we came back just an hour later, or was this the next day? Cause one time we visited the same table, just like a couple hours apart,
Right.
but there was no storm, there was nothing that would have moved, this looks like it's been sitting out there for a couple weeks. This was like at most the next day, and there wasn't any rain or anything that day.
Garrett, do you remember? If you can hear, Do you remember it was the same day or not? Well, if you are, you're on mute. But anyway, so that's one situation.
I feel like this might be the time when the marbles went missing, because there's some.
I think
from it.
so.
So
So,
this would be like the same day.
so pay attention, look closely at this one and look at the colors of the marbles and kind of see what marbles are missing. As you can see it in this picture, okay? So as we went walking around, Amy found, notice that it's in an area with an arch.
Mm.
Look what she found. The
And
marbles.
this is like a 10-minute walk. Well, a 10-minute slow walk. But it's not anywhere near the picnic table. It's on the total other side. It's by one of those other portals. And so,
So they moved the marbles and it was not like, you know, I mean, if they threw it, okay, well, they just landed in a certain place, but again, pay attention because it's right under the arch. So that was fun. And then we went, we looked back and we saw, yeah, that's the colors that were missing.
yeah, so this was like,
Oh.
we found it like an hour later. We went back.
So
up
they
to the
had
picnic
been on
table.
the original circle and they were missing?
Exactly, we put them
Wow,
on the
no
table,
kidding.
So
we
we-
went to a different area under the arch. Amy was like, what's that blue thing? It's marbles Garrett had just put out on the other side of the
Yep.
property.
And so same
Wow.
thing with this picture too. It's like the marbles were disappearing.
Okay.
But yeah,
We were playing
it was,
with them.
it was, oh, they're small. They're not like the big.
And the amber
what do they
ones
call
too.
those? Jumbos. We used to call them bambuchas, but that's a away term. But so it was interesting that where we were walking, we would come across it, right? Because you could miss it.
Mhm.
All right, let me see if Garrett's.
Well,
on.
and that you were walking right there. I mean, this is not a small place.
No,
No, yeah, it's crazy.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay.
There are no
how
mistakes.
Like that.
The acres was it, or like, how big was the town?
It wasn't that big. It was 5 acres or something, I think. It wasn't as big as I thought it was, but when you're walking it,
It's
Cause we kind of walked the trail that went the perimeter mostly, and then a little bit inside, but so it, yeah.
one day we ended up back where we were digging. And I'm going, I don't know how we made it here, because we had to drive going up the other way. I could have put 2 and 2 together, but then again, I get lost very easily. But it was interesting that the land seems a lot bigger than what he told us in terms of the acreage.
Well, there's a lot of trees and there's a hill, so it separates it really nicely.
Okay, so this rock formation,
It's right by that picnic table. We left the marbles.
right, but it's also within the area where they saw, they meaning Orville, and Cheryl and I forget the other guy's name, but anyway, it's in the place where they saw the lights.
Ah,
So they were down further down, like at this beginning of the trail at the fire pit. And this is Orville's story is that, remember I told you he was FBI and Homeland Security.
And this just happened this December, 2023, the one that
Oh.
you're talking about.
Oh.
Well, the first one happened
Twenty seventeen.
in 2017, the first one.
But they were up at the stage for that one.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So they're seeing the light and it's not coming from above down. He said he saw the lights coming from down going up. So Orville just got up and started running towards the lights.
Yeah, the first time they thought maybe neighbors had put up lights or something and they were all over and they couldn't find anything. But in December, he was closer to the bottom of the trail and all of a sudden a light came up that they could see at the top of the hill on their property. And so he took off running.
And so his friend.
And
that
they've
was
got
with him-
video from the stage of
Yeah,
him
him
doing it.
running.
He showed us the video.
Yeah, and his friend that was with him was like, he ran after Orville.
It took him a little
Yeah,
bit.
okay.
He was like,
What? Running to the light, and I'm thinking the same thing, like, you're just running into it, not saying, let me assess what it is. He literally went into it.
and his
And then-
friends followed him into
Well, that would
the
have taken 6 sessions.
I'm like, oh, that would have. You didn't hesitate, no, he just went in it. And then I'm like, and then what happened? And he said that he heard somebody say, who's that? You're not supposed to be in here, or something
Yes.
like that, and they kicked him out.
And they said Markin.
Oh, Mark him there.
Yeah.
Mark.
They both woke up, both men woke up in different sections of the ravine,
Yeah.
just passed out, woke up in the rocks, like.
And then again, I'm going,
You.
why did you go into it? And Garrett's like, I'll go into it. I'm like, no, I think.
Yeah,
it's
we're pretty
sexy."
sure we didn't even get to see the light because Garrett would have ran.
Yeah.
And he'd be all gone.
Yeah, so they're like, no light when they're here.
For me, I'm thinking, I'd be totally lost. I don't care where you leave me. I'm not gonna know how to get back. But yeah, so he's experienced those stuff. And so that's when the rocks started to, get the formation.
2017.
Wow.
But notice that how it's placed, there's no mortar or nothing to hold it together. And it just stays that way. So Amy took different angles.
Mhm.
They already, like we said, they tried to make this place a campground. They've done mining on different sides. Once they saw the lights in 2017, they started paying more attention, and this just appeared one day.
Yeah.
This whole thing.
Like, poof, like that.
Wow.
This place is also, I think I sent out the link. They have in this area, the rocks move.
Yeah, they have.
So they've got it, it's time lapse pictures. So then they just kind of loop it.
These rocks or different?
No,
ones?
they were
Oh,
different rocks,
Other rocks.
but that's the same area and they do move. So, so there's a lot of.
Now, is
activity
this
going on.
right where that light came
Yes.
through?
Yes.
Yeah.
And did this appear after the light came through?
Yeah,
Well,
that-
after 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was there. So,
Sometime- And then it was just there.
but it's interesting that it's placed and it's perfect. I mean, it hasn't fallen over or nothing. But also, if you look at the, even in the background, there's an arch that they created. And then somebody else put the Sasquatch doll on there. But there's an arch, so I
That
have,
just formed one day as well.
yeah, so let me show you that arch close up.
Yeah, it's like a heart on the.
It's a heart, but you know,
Yeah.
it's placed so
Ah.
precisely. It's not gonna fall apart.
Oh, right.
I don't think I could do that. It would fall apart trying to put it
Now,
together.
How big is it?
It's,
It's not too, it's a couple
Okay.
of feet.
so we.
What is that behind? Is that someone standing there?
No, they
No,
put a
that's-
Sasquatch figure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what is that?
But keep in mind, this place is, marked off, so we didn't go into it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have
You
this.
can see it from a
document that
distance.
it's-
So this is zooming into it, but yeah, it kind of looks like a heart there too.
So the vertical rock stacking.
That's cool.
Before, did that feel like Sasquatch to you?
It did, I think it did,
The really tall rock
Yeah.
stack.
yeah.
I don't know, the energy there was freaking nuts.
Oh,
It
so
was off the chart.
should we tell them about the paperclip?
Sure, yeah.
So there is a marked off area that he put in like these metal stakes to block, like
To
to
make a
create a
fence.
path, yeah. And something happened to the metal stakes. And he took regular paper clips, and he just stuck them and they were magnetic.
Well, and didn't he have a compass?
Oh,
He was
yeah,
showing us that most of the things would be polarized one way with a north on top and a south. So he'd bring the compass and it would point one or the other. It wouldn't point to true north here. It was all over the place. But depending on which stake you held it to, it would point to north or south. And one of the stakes, like in the between it, it would go north, south, north, south. It would
Oh,
just
wow.
all crazy. Like the magnetics went all goofy in the
Amy was the
area.
one using the compass, so we didn't see that. But so he wanted to prove to us, and he got regular paper clips, and they were attached.
They
Yeah, you would
magnetized to it.
magnetize it, and then he gave us those, and those were buzzing. So like we
Yeah,
have a
And they're
buzzing,
like little magnets,
I've never tried it.
I didn't try it
I
actually.
just know that, so we remember now, we're walking, we didn't have much stuff, and I put it in my pocket, I think, and somebody put it in there.
I had put it in my
Yeah.
bra and the energy was too much. I was like, okay.
But
Just somewhere else.
it was
It was like almost
interesting.
burning. It was weird.
So that's his scientific proof as well, for this areas that we know are, we know the lights came from and all of that stuff, so that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not positive about the big rock stack
Yeah.
if it was forest
It
people.
didn't feel like.
The
it to
arch
me.
more
Like
so.
starving,
Yeah,
I just,
it just. was-
in that area, so this area is like on the, like, that light area was here, it's right across.
Right next to it.
So it's not very far, then this is Amy's experience, she couldn't join us, right now, but so. Amy has not seen any, cause we've pretty much all seen it, but she's never seen it. So she's just walking there and then she just stopped and she looks at me, she goes. I think I saw two Sasquatch. She goes, probably not. I said, yes, you did. She goes, did you see it? I said, no. She goes, I said, they came for you. You know, so she's still doubting, like I know when I first saw. So she's doubting it all. And so she's kind of standing in this location. But take a look at the lower portion here. I'm gonna have another picture. There's that little arch. That kind of is the marker for Amy where she saw them.
Yeah, and they were further back in the trees, but it was.
Mhm, they were
one
the
quick
trees.
glance. She saw them, she looked away, she looked back, they were gone.
It was like a pathway, and there's some tires, I think, back there.
Mhm.
But she said they were two, like one taller than the other. And she was kind of like, well, I don't know. I'm like, you know what you saw, same thing with what you told me. I said, you saw them. And she was kind of shocked.
Well, and if there had been a big animal or other people, we would have heard them because we're
Right.
right there and we're literally looking around doing this.
And I
tour.
was next to her.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, now I was maybe a step or two away from her. And so
Oh,
when
yeah.
I looked, it was, of course, I didn't see it, but I believed her. But Garrett was the one who found this little arch
Mhm.
that was right in front of where she's standing.
Nice.
Plants don't normally grow that way.
No, no.
Right.
So that was her experience. So now we're gonna go to some really cool pictures that we found. So, a lot of people, you know, let's see, what is pareidolia? Pareidolia really, like you could say, you could look, the easiest way to say it is, if you're laying down and looking at the clouds, say, I see a rabbit, or you see something in the natural formation, you're seeing something, or your mind is putting it together to feel, oh yeah, that's a rabbit. So a lot of people believe that what we're seeing may be pareidolia. It could be, I don't know. But so, again, these are just pictures, and a lot of our stuff we take, we didn't really see it with our eyes.
Well, and
Okay?
some things we do see with our eyes, again, I would judge whether it's pareidolia or not based on what we feel,
Mhm.
right? Like we can tell if a stick is a glyph or just a stick because it feels like it or not. And you can feel energy when there's a being there versus, not if it's just the way your brain's tricking you. So
Right.
kind of go with what feels right.
So, I have my Pixel 7 phone, and I found out, oh, it's got a night shift setting. So this is actually the stages here, and there's like an open area. So we were down where the fire pit wasn't too far away. And I just felt like being drawn to go into that open area. I said, you guys want to come? Garrett goes, you can go on your own. And it wasn't that dark. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go there. And I just decided to take pictures, just kind of a series of pictures. And then a cat scared me. So I'm like, okay, I'm done. Okay, so as we were looking at things, I'm like, as we look as a group, we started seeing something. So look in this area. Okay. Let's see, what the heck is it? What can you see anything? Can you see any faces? Right? We're kind of going, this is something you may say is pareidolia. So now I'm taking the same shot and I'm circling what we think looks like faces.
Mhm.
Could it be pareidolia? Maybe. But I just taking pictures, right? So it's like, okay, here we go. So that was interesting, and because I didn't see anything other than the cats. Here's another one that Susan took. You want to talk about that one?
I was just taking pictures of the fire. I also too couldn't see anything with my eyes, but I thought maybe taking some pictures, it would pick up something.
Well, and we were trying to catch because we put the color powder in the fire, so it was turning pretty color.
were having fun,
able to get a picture, but then that didn't show up too well.
I think you can see it better in that picture versus this one. So look at where the square is now on the right-hand side, and then look at it on the left-hand side. Can you see a face?
I see two looking at each other.
And then there seems to be like a whole different little being back there
Yeah.
with the red head as well.
Oh, well, yeah, I was wondering what that was.
The green is actually the space where the rock and the fire is coming out, so you can see the red.
Ah.
Underneath.
Yeah. Okay, so that's just one of them. Here's another one.
You can see some of the blue from the color palette.
Yeah.
Which we were all excited about.
Uh-huh.
And then, I forget what was there. Do you remember what I was supposed to be looking at?
Well, you got that little white thing that looks like
It's
a little
actually a
spaceship or something.
bottle. No, like it's like somebody's, the top of somebody's drink container, I think,
Yeah,
maybe, or maybe not.
could be something.
I don't know, but it was an interesting thing. Again, it was dark, so you see how dark it is, that's the normal color of the, not normal color. That's how dark it was even when I was walking out there.
Mm.
All right, now this one is fun. So again, with my night sight. It was dark and I just felt like taking pictures, so I did. And when we were looking at it as a group, I was like, what is that? So look here, and you see like a shadow,
Mhm.
and
a
then
fuzzy
like a
thing.
fuzzy thing, and then there's like a real shadow.
Yeah, we
Big
first
up.
noticed the
What
shadow
is
on the
it?
ground.
Oh, shadow.
The shadow on the ground looks like someone's standing there, and then you realize it's got that weird cloaky appearance.
Right, but there's a
Somebody standing.
projecting a shadow on the ground.
Yeah,
So I asked Garrett, because he was by me, he goes, no, I was behind you. And again, like I said, I'm just taking pictures, not seeing it, because you saw how dark it was. They were like, what is that? And that's right where we're at the fire. There's a little, that's the path that you'd walk them, upon. And notice how it got blurry. You know, it's like.
well,
To
the
the
bushes
side of
were
it,
too,
too.
so it's like
And all the
portal or
colors
something.
on the right, on the far right.
But yet, you have more clarity behind it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Okay, now, this is the one. I had no idea. I didn't know, this is the last picture that I took before after the cat scared me and I went back. I didn't see anything at
Mhm.
first. And as we were looking at, because I got it on my big screen, I'm like, what's that?
Right, the silhouette.
Yep, I'm going, I think that's.
What is it?
You can just see the silhouette of its cone head and its big shoulder standing there in the tree.
Oh,
so
so
it's-
it's low. Okay, gotcha.
So I took.
It's
the-
like the tree's in
And-
color, but the Sasquatch is in black.
So I tried to make it a little more, you can see the difference in that. And again, that's brighten up, that we weren't, it wasn't during the day,
Yeah.
okay? So now, I said, me being the skeptic. I have a picture of what it looks like during the day. There's
Oh, now I
nothing
see him. I
there,
see his shadow. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
but there's
got
nothing there like a rock or anything that would create that.
No.
Right,
So I said,
that's great.
we got a picture.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, definitely can see him there. Mhm.
Now, remember, I felt drawn to go in that area and I took all these pictures. But to catch that one, I'm like, I didn't know. You know, like, so,
Yeah, and you can still, you see the other tree hanging that
Mhm.
would be in front.
yeah. So skeptics can say, so, yeah, try and see if I used to know how to use Photoshop, that was like decades ago. I don't remember anymore, but
Mhm.
they are welcome to look at it and say, I don't need the proof, that's the thing. We weren't looking for proof, so I just like, well, let's just pick pictures and see what happens. And lo and behold, we got a cool shot.
That is cool.
Mhm.
So that's one of the, I guess, I wonder, I never thought of it. I wonder if it's the one that asked me to come.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah,
That's what I was.
he's big and black, it kind of matches what I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a female? Okay, because I gotta know when I asked was him.
Hmm.
But so, yeah, it just was there. I didn't hear anything to take the picture. I just like, click, 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 okay, catch, because there's a black cat in front of me. And then the other black cat came shooting from
Yeah,
beside me.
she's like, I'm
quick,
safe, that cat there, I know where the cat is.
yeah, and then it ran and I said, I'm done. You guys, I'm done. You scared me. They're not funny. I said, let's go. So Susan took these, no, these was at night, same place, but I didn't notice this, the lights. And Susan had taken some pictures. She's got the same kind of lights too. But they're not stars.
I was gonna ask if they're
Yeah,
shapes, right?
at first we thought, is it stars? So see the positioning of it, okay? Because in this next picture, they're further down,
Oh, wow.
so they're moving.
Mhm.
So I'll go back so you can see it. too far. Okay, so you see that,
Yeah,
and then that, it's not the same tree.
and there's also one in between the trees.
Yeah.
Down
right
low.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's stories of them seeing the lights. So they could be ships. Or they, I think they're too small for orbs, because I felt like they were like at a distance.
Yeah.
And there's 4.
There's four, I didn't realize that. Well, actually, there's more when they were there, but they did move. So it's not like it's stars, and we didn't wait forever for, the Earth to shift to. Yeah. Now this
Hey,
one.
Gayle.
Yes.
Hey, Gayle, Garrett here.
Hi.
Hi guys, I'm on my way.
Okay.
You want to go back to that picture and let them know about when you guys toned Cheryl? I'm not sure if you shared that
Oh, no,
part of
yeah.
the story yet.
Yeah, why don't you see, because
And
you
so-
saw it, we were,
Yeah, so on this picture here, Gayle and the gals were toning Cheryl, Orville's wife. And while they were toning her, you take a look in the background, you can see the light. It looks like the sun is rising. And it looks like there's a light that's cascading in the horizon in the background there.
I see that.
so let me go to the next one.
And what happened after they toned her, it got completely bright like that. And I was wondering, because it's in the direction of Hot Springs, Arkansas, which was still about like an hour and a half away. And I thought, wow, that's some light pollution coming from the city. And what I thought was interesting about this was I asked Cheryl afterwards, and she noticed it too. She goes, oh my gosh, I saw the light get brighter when you guys were toning me. And I asked Cheryl, I said, is Hot Springs? She's like, nope. She goes, there's nothing behind that ridge. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like, wow, that intensity came out very intently when they were toning Cheryl.
That's right.
Were the Aurora Borealis happening at the time you were down there, or was that later?
It was after.
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't see it. I would have been excited, but yeah,
That's cool though.
yeah, so that's true, that's.
We
yeah,
only got the one clear night too. Most of the nights were overcast.
True, yeah, that's right. It was kind of a bummer, we didn't see it, so that particular night, we could actually see stuff. And that's when we were toning Cheryl. All right, this is Susan's shop.
Yeah, and it was pitch black and I was just taking pictures. I was standing on the stage.
Mhm.
And when I was looking back at the pictures, you can see it looks like it's a ship.
And it's not like we were using flash. It's not a bug. Like here, it looks, on Gayle's thing, it looks kind of like it wants to be a bug, but on her original phone, you could like really see there was just 4 little dots of
Wow.
light.
Yeah.
But what's
Mhm.
interesting, and I still can't find it, I thought there was a documentary and there was a whole bunch that looked like that.
Yes, I've
And I'm
seen
like,
that
what?
before.
And I said, Susan caught it. That's one thing. And now again, this was really pitch black, so
Yeah.
she didn't know, we didn't know. And that's why I said, let's go and look at the pictures together.
Mhm.
And that's what we saw. So we had amazing experiences. It wasn't all about Sasquatch.
No.
And so that's Cheryl and Orville, and there's a little place, and that's their website. So on their website, they have a lot of YouTube videos of their encounters. But it's amazing. It's a small mom and pops type of organ, there's not much there. They're the ones that'll take you out and stuff, and but it was a lot of fun. So we did bring back a lot of rocks, and so we drove there. And so you guys, did you have 2 or you had 1 box of bag?
We
Bucket of rocks.
We each came back with like some rocks we'd mined, but we bought 1 bucket that they were selling because they could acquire much more than we could. And
So we had, the ones that we dug, the ones that I found, picking up, and then we had these, so we had a lot of those rocks in the back of the SUV we were in.
Oh,
Oh, man, it was like we were flying. Yeah, the energy was so intense.
And on the way back, we stayed at a hotel and they gave us room number 217.
Wow.
So,
So it takes 2 days, 2 days to drive there.
you could,
Yeah.
well, Amy drove it Like she went,
Amy,
she's
we love
crazy.
her, she's great. So she-
17 hours, I think she drove, because she went
How many?
17 hours, because she's in Arizona, so she went down south and she went up through Texas and went up.
From here, it's only 14 hours, but we didn't want to do that in one day.
No, no,
That
that's a
sucks.
lot.
Especially because we wanted to get there early in the day. We didn't want to like get there at night and,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
Unless you want to be rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was meant to be, because even when we stayed in, was it in Kansas that we stayed? Garrett found it was a house,
Like an Airbnb.
Airbnb, 3-bedroom house for $99.
Oh, wow.
It's like, okay, that was meant to be, you know, I mean, and so everything was in alignment for us, and then. Was it? Yeah, oh yeah, we were going there, and this is kind of sidetracked, but it's a funny story. We were gonna get off to fill up gas. And Garrett yells, fried pies. It's like, what are you talking about? There was a bakery, Amish bakery, right? And it had the sign fried pies. So we went there, and I can't eat it. I'm like, you guys enjoy it.
Oh my God, they were
Yeah.
good.
I would say it's probably thanks to fried pies that we didn't totally just fly away because they would ground us because we ate them for breakfast and we bought enough. We all each got like 2 and then we had one at the car and we're like, oh no, back into the bakery. So we each got enough that we had pies every morning.
Don't forget, we need some cheddar, so that's what they had every morning. Fried pies, and then on the way home,
Fried
fried
Yeah,
pies.
they were like hand pies.
But they're- the-
homemade.
The branding was different. It was like
Yeah, it was different. I don't even know. It was
Like-
so good. It melted in
it's
your
kind
mouth.
of a turnover, but it's
Yeah, it
not.
was like, we got like boysenberry, blackberry,
Blackberry.
cherry.
Oh my
We got all of them. Blueberry. We
Whoa.
like sold, they were like, you're.
And
gonna give
Amish,
us
oh
all.
yeah, oh yeah.
We said, like, $200 on that.
So I have to stop there the next time. And so I did take a picture of everybody. If you ever go and go,
That's gonna definitely be a place to
They
stop.
closed on the way home because it was a Monday and we were like.
We stopped at another place and it was, they had sugar-free ones. I was like, let me try. I'm like. not
What
that
was
great.
it?
It was a different dough too,
Yeah.
but it was a sugar-free one, so I said I could eat it,
Oh,
you know, and then, but
Oh,
I
I
could
see.
tell, they just. I think it was Garrett at first, he ate it and he's like. Looking back in, and then you ate yours, and then Susan came out. And she ate this, and then it's like, then they all started like going back in to buy some more. They said, you might as well, we're here. So I don't know how many pies you guys had.
We
I mean, they're not pies, they're like, you know, it's like a pastry.
They were looking at empanada, but a pie. Uh-huh.
But every morning they did their happy dance.
sounds
Yeah.
like turnovers.
Yes, exactly.
But they were.
And so I think the last day they thought there wasn't any more, but there was another bag in there. And this is the one that was for Amy, and then they all ate it.
Well, we cut them up and we all shared.
So they didn't have a whole bunch, but every morning, that's how they
And I want
started.
to say, we slept on the stage, some of us,
Okay.
for 2 nights.
Yeah.
And we did have them throw rocks and pebbles and stuff in the
Yeah.
early night. And Garrett, are you there to tell the story, Garrett, of feeling the young ones practice their levitating on you? Or you-
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, do you want to share that?
Yeah, the one thing about the pies, and certain areas that we were drawn to eat at, but the location of the area is energetically pretty sensitive to what we eat. And so when we ate the pies, it was kind of like we knew in a way, it felt very energetically charged. So every time we ate a pie, it felt like we were getting high. And when we showed up at the apartment where we stayed, I remember, Susan, do you remember we put a box around the whole refrigerator? And
Eyes.
next you know, we were eating out of the fridge. Everything we ate that came out of the fridge was like super intensely charged up.
Our veggies, everything, not just pie.
Yeah, the veggies, the pies, everything that was coming out of there. So that whole area was a lot more amped up. So than just your typical box on its own. So all the food, the water, the things that we ingested were all charged up. And so that was one thing too that kind of kept us in a way like we were constantly 24/7 just on something. We were rolling.
We were high, we were high. Tell us a story about when we were on the stage that first night, about your levitation thing.
Oh, yeah. So in the dream space, so when you're in that in between space and you kind of know like, oh, I'm mildly awake, but at the same time I know my body's asleep. So when we were sleeping, I remember in that space, there was a group of little squashies, the babies. They were probably equivalent to about 6 to 8 years old, human-wise. And they were all sitting in a circle, and they're like, let's practice on Garrett. We're gonna practice our levitation with him. And I said, oh no. And what ended up happening was I started to lift off the bed, like we were all laying on cots. And then I remember the when the squashy's frequency hits you, it gets so intense and it's kind of uncomfortable because it almost feels like you're being binded. And what happened, I was like, oh no guys, you aren't, nope. And then I just remember yelling, Gayle, yell in the sleep time. And then I felt myself plop back onto the cot, like I was levitating, and then I plopped back down. And I snapped out of that space, and then Gayle was kind of like, what's going on? I'm like, those little squashies were trying to take me.
Because I think we finally fell asleep. So did we have that big knock before that happened? Do you
I
remember?
know. Yeah, because I kept sleeping in between and they'd be like, did you hear that? And I'm like, hear what? What are we hearing? So then there was big knocks and booms.
So I normally have to take something to help me to sleep because I get shut my brain down, but I said, I'm gonna be prepared. So I didn't take anything and I didn't wear earplugs. So I was so open to everything and I had my watch on. It was cold. We were all bundled up in the sleeping bags. And it was because I had my watch on, I knew at midnight, there's like this boom sound. And I was like, what the hell was that? I may even said that. And then Garrett got up because, but we said, guys, quit or something like that. It was loud. So how do you fall back? And we were just trying to fall asleep. And so there's little things that happened throughout. So I was tired the next day.
It was so loud because the roof for the stage was a tin roof and they had thrown a rock on the roof.
Oh my
and so it
gosh.
cracked and echoed.
And the
Yeah.
whole, and it
reverberates.
Exactly. So that was interesting.
And then later, like 3 a.m, we heard what sounded like a plastic thing hitting the floor. And I like looked around for the cats, but they had went to bed with Oracle that night. We hadn't seen them. And so I was just like, well, I don't know what that is. But we woke up the next day and they'd had a little like wooden Sasquatch statue back in the corner where it was like in the hallway, safe from wind. And he had a pair of sunglasses on. Well, in the morning, his sunglasses weren't on and we found him across the stage where we were sleeping. Like they had just thrown the sunglasses at us.
Because we're at that point going, I'm not getting up. It's cold. We're all bundled up. But so we had, interesting experiences just from that. And we took a break the next night because I said, I'm not sleeping on the stage. I need to sleep.
And it wasn't a person because we could hear when people came on the stage, you could hear them walking up to like when you came and woke up. You could hear the people. So to just hear the plastic things flying in the middle of the night,
Right. Yeah, because Susan came in, I don't know, it was 7 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
So I think I finally was falling asleep after hearing the plasticky thing, and you found the glasses. So that's how we figured it out. But I remember I said, if you didn't say good morning with a smile, I may have been like a grumpy old bear because I was like, oh, it's Susan. Okay.
Because she had went back that night, but you had experiences in the condo.
Yes,
So you want to share?
They had, they completely lit up the room that we were in.
Just me and Amy were sleeping in there.
Yeah, and there's nothing, there's no light outside.
There's a little kitchen window and there's nothing behind it. It's just emptiness.
Yep, so unexplained lights just flooded.
Like a beam of light came through and shined the hole, like the little ship just parked behind it.
So I don't know what happened with that, but, and then they were doing a lot of knocking and yeah, that night they did a lot of knocking on the walls and I could hear them outside. And the second night,
One of the nights we were all in the house.
Yeah, actually, the second night that we were in there, because you guys were all passed out, although I still don't know how you guys didn't wake up. Because it sounded like they were gonna come right through the front door. And I kind of looked up and everybody else is sleeping. Garrett, I think he heard it too.
He was just ignoring it. He's like, go
Yeah.
away, guys. I'm
Yeah.
sleeping.
We were tired.
Yeah.
I didn't. But I was out.
But sometimes they do appear for a specific individual. You know, and I've had experiences where that's big group, but nobody else seeing. I'm like, maybe I'm not seeing it because why am I the only one, you know? So, but that's a magical place, another place, you know. Then we went to Bailey, and Bailey is a cool place too. So it's, so you can say you want to connect with the people of the forest of the Sasquatch, but it's not just that. Sometimes it is an elemental thing. I believe the Sasquatch are elementals in my opinion, so the energy felt like that. But there are more than just that. So that was our amazing experience, and so we were able to share that experience because it tied into the Sasquatch, especially the pictures that we've got. It tied into the gathering that we had in Bailey, dealing with the teachings of the Sasquatch. So it all happened for a reason because everything just fell into place where we could go.
Especially, I mean, it just really did. We talked about it and then Garrett looked up dates and then it just all happened. And it was within 2 weeks of the eclipse. So the eclipse energies were still there because they had the full.
That's what I
eclipse
was gonna
happen
ask
there.
you.
They asked us not to come during there because it was gonna be really crowded. So we're like, that we're
They
fine.
just closed down.
Yeah.
They didn't want to deal with the traffic.
When did they see the light come through? Was that in
So
17?
in 17, they saw 3 lights come
Three
up, and that
lights.
began the thing, and the rocks then began moving, and a bunch of different paranormal things happened.
Okay.
But one light came up near where that rock is in December, and that's when Orville
That's
ran
when he ran into
So
it.
they didn't even have the video up on their website yet. He brought us into his house and showed us on his personal
Yeah.
computer.
I think in 17, the lights also, they saw a ship.
Yeah, they
above.
had shit. They have
Oh, wow.
From then on, they had a ton.
Yeah.
But they didn't have it, it didn't get the picture of the ship though.
No, they
Yeah.
didn't, yeah, they've had that recreated,
Right.
just from what they
Right.
saw.
But they saw it from the stage, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's an amazing place. I mean, are there other places there? Probably, but when I was told you need to go to Arkansas, guess that's what it was about.
Mm.
So it was an amazing experience, being high most of the time. That was an interesting thing. But it was kind of, so at some point I did feel a little bit uncomfortable because it was just too much, like too much, I'm too high. You know, and so I need to have a steak or something because I said I needed to get grounded. That was not a very good steak. It was like, but I felt like trying to do things
Well,
that
you
we
had a
normally
steak
do.
at an Italian restaurant.
That's true.
Don't get steak at an Italian restaurant in Arkansas.
No.
And just don't even try
Really?
eating chili rellenos. Forget it. Forget it.
So, Gayle, what would be your guide or your friend, your Sasquatch friend, what would be the overall?
So he did say, if I remember correctly, because you heard it too, he did say something about helping, we had to help shift the land because there were too many people trying to go like to prove the evidence. So they get all like this electronics being introduced and all of these things, and they just wanted us to shift the energy to be more, again, in a natural state.
Right, because we did
Yeah.
tobacco offerings and ceremony offerings and lots of toning as well.
Right. In fact, I have a rock. It was actually we walk the same path all the time, so you kind of get familiar. And when you have this pretty big rock just sitting there, you're like, that wasn't there before. And then there was another little rock beside it.
Oh, so they were leaving you gifts.
Yeah, so I said, I think we're supposed to take it.
Offerings, right?
So we picked it up and we put it on a tree stump, I think, and then we went walking.
Nice.
But there was a significance with that too. And in the space where I said that that's where I saw the vision, I didn't know Garrett had gone there earlier and he put tobacco down. So I may have stepped into the area that he created,
Mm.
where, you know, or like you said, because it's probably where the Sasquatch was.
He's
there.
probably still standing there, like as he showed you in his video.
Yeah. He's big, he's big, he's big.
Well, and I didn't think of that either. When Gayle was doing it, they had another one of their sciencey things in the middle of the field from the stage. they had just like a steel bar with a tennis ball on one end. And this thing was magnetized, I think, and it would shift with the energy. So most of the time, our whole trip, it just pointed one direction.
Yeah.
Well, we were all looking at it, and Gayle had went to do private ceremony because Cheryl is super beautiful, but we thought some of this might be intimidating for her. She maybe wasn't ready for the channeling and some of the different stuff, and maybe she was, but just felt like something Gayle needed to do on her own. So Gayle was doing a ceremony to thank him, and that thing in the middle just started turning and spinning around, and she came back and she's like, well, it pointed to where you were doing the ceremony.
And I
She
didn't
came
get to
back and
see
I
it.
was like, I was just over there.
Yeah.
It's pointing over there.
Cause I went to go get it, but it's more like a thank you and, just honoring, and I guess the energy shifted, so that was cool. And I had no idea what was happening. So,
I think our purpose was like we went there and did some healing on the land and just offered healing because we're all healers. But then they gifted us things to bring back and share with the collective and with you beautiful people. So it was like a multi-layered thing. And I'm sure we leveled up and were able to release things we didn't know before that were there.
so I feel like because we brought a lot of like the crystals and stones, and I made the clearing wands with the Arkansas crystals, I did feel their presence. The Arkansas ones that we met, I felt them in Bailey. And I don't want, I don't think I have it on my computer, but. So it was a Saturday, I think it was Saturday. We were landing on Sunday. We took a break, and I believe that Susan had talked to you with the last to speak about she received gifts from the Sasquatch. And then we went to go and have lunch. So I had my laptop and, shut it down, and then we went to go and we locked everything up. Came back, and her husband Guy was there. I'm like, Guy, look, I have dirt on my laptop.
Yeah, that was
So-
cool.
So. Can you guys see there's, I have this taped up, Mary thought about it.
Still have
Yeah. So she taped up the marks. And you notice they're red marks. Sorry, guys, online, I don't really, let me see if I can put it on point the camera to my laptop.
Oh, that on.
I do, but I don't know where it is. It'll probably take more time. Can you see if I'm getting to the right spot?
Yeah, they can see it. She means these dirt here is taped on.
Okay. So. Here's the funny thing about that. First of all, I was thinking, well, who the heck would put dirt on my laptop? That's rude. Because we were I think Mary's presentation was coming up, so I was gonna get ready for that. Then as I'm looking at it, and after I told Guy, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Then I was standing in front of it, and I'm going, oh, something underneath my feet. There's something underneath my feet, and there was more of the sand with like a footprint. But because it was a dark wooden flooring, it was kind of blending in, but you could feel the energy. And then I said, wait a minute. Before we left to go to lunch, I was talking to Mary Ruth, who's the owner of the place. And I remember seeing on the chair that had my bag with my little medicine bag in it, there were these little, like 4 very symmetrical, they were circles, but there were 4 different sizes. And I just said, dirt on my, my chair, and I'm thinking, maybe I spilled it. So I'm not even thinking. So I just went ahead, opened up my medicine bag, took out my little pottery bowl that I had the sand in there. And then I put it back in and I sealed it up. I always seal it up because I don't want to have a mess in my little backpack. So I didn't realize that probably was for them because that was unusual. How could you get round 4 of them right in a row? But I wasn't paying attention. So the sand that's the dirt, if you want to say, that's from my medicine bag. But my backpack wasn't opened. It was still sealed up, but the plastic bag with my little the pot was open. Not like partially, it was like wide open. I'm going, and most of the sand was gone. There was some that was spilled on the bottom, but not much.
Yeah, none of it was in your bag. That was still upright, sitting where you had left it.
Right.
They just put a footprint here.
So Garrett has a theory of this. If you get, I can share it. I told the story of where the sand came from. It's a place in Arizona
On the res.
on the
not
res
elevation.
that Garrett's mom told us it's called butt rock.
It
Because
looked
like a
big
butt,
old
like a,
butt.
yeah, like a your butt cheeks.
Sandstone. Grecian ass.
Yeah.
Right on the-
But the sand there, it's very amazing. It's very,
And
so I
supercharged.
used that, it's supercharged, so I used that. And so Garrett's idea was that maybe the mama took a baby Sasquatch, rubbed the butt in the dirt and put the butt print on my. Because you look at butt rub, butt cheeks on there, you know? Yeah, so go ahead.
Observation. So this is a picture you took when you first saw the laptop.
Uh-huh.
If you look, your bag is closed and your another bags, both of them are on the footprint.
Oh, that's
And
right.
then
We moved.
discovered the footprint. So there was a chair and two bags literally on the
Let me put that-
footprint.
Oh, wow.
And then once the footprint was discovered, it was like nothing was on the footprint. It was not a grain of sand was disturbed.
I wonder if you can put
That was
that, your,
crazy.
if
Oh,
we
this
can put
is
it to that.
Oh,
Can you see? A little higher, a little closer. Can you guys see the picture online? So the bottom picture is showing that my stuff was actually on that dirt stuff that I talked about. Okay, you're out of sync. So we had some amazing experiences, I said. And while we were there, Mary has this great little toolkit that you can to help you to have a visual of what you may be experiencing. And some people who don't know about it or maybe not sure about it, they love that. So that was really fun. So one of the people, like I said, Leslie, she's had encounters since after the retreat. And so she'd send me pictures or send Garrett pictures. And then she got quarters. she got quarters, you know, and all these things, but she would take and put like the little hand boiler on it, and then it would move. She had a little pendulum, but what happened was she had noticed that she has her dog when she's doing some things. It's about a year or maybe almost 2 years. He's got the little like a cord that runs across, and she's, you know, he can run on that. And somebody let him off. And so the neighbor's like, okay. So she went and checked where the hook was, where he was attached to, and it was buzzing because I think they want to play with him. And it's happened several times. So I said, Leslie, just tell them to stop, you know. But she's had so many things, and with the help of Mary's tools, she was able to use those to help, especially with Leslie, because she wasn't sure, help her to feel more comfortable that what she was experiencing was true.
and what you'll find with the tools, they're, again, validation that something's different, whether it be an object, an area, or whatnot. It's visual, validation that something's different. And once you get familiar with that, then you're able to sense it the way you best sense it. And so it's kind of a learning aid. And Leslie.
She got to
Just
experience
thank you.
it.
Yeah, so after the retreat was over, and I have a story to kind of follow up with what Leslie's experiencing right now.
Oops, still not showing.
One of the areas in which we took the individuals was a kind of flat camping ground right along the river. And that's where I was guided to go there in the morning. And because I thought we were gonna have our own personal tour from the owners. So when it came time to do the tour, they didn't show up. So I'm like, oh, now I know why Sasquatch says, okay, go down here. So I took everybody down there and started showing them the V trees. We got in alignment with CERN. There was one that was a Merlin portal. Someone said that's total Merlin energy. And I'm like, oh yeah, once you get an idea of what to look for, then everybody just kind of goes, right? And that's what they want. they want you to experience this. And so after the retreat was over, I was doing the tobacco offering that we had up there. We had a squashy altar. And I was guided to go back down to that spot. And I gave the offering and I was walking back, and there was one area where there was 2 trees side by side like this, and it looked like a door. And the V's, there was 3 V's that were like this way. They were all pointing to this door from different angles and different spots. And as I was walking back to that area, I noticed on the ground, I'm like, there's quarter, there's a quarter, there's a nickel, and there's 3 pennies, and I think 2 dimes. Like, oh, someone, and I picked it up, I'm like, this is not charged. I said, somebody left coins here. I'm like, oh, no, no, I was like, no, this is kind of not knowing, right? I'm like, I'm pick it up. So I picked it up. I said, I know the intent was there. Pick it up and I'll put it in just leave it in there. And lo and behold, it belonged to Leslie. And I didn't know it was hers until after she started sending the video. She goes, Garrett, I'm getting pennies. As soon as she got back home, she got pennies. And then she said, oh, now I found a dime. Like she just found a dime. And I said, oh, cool. And she goes, oh yeah, and that quarter just apparated right there. And I said, Leslie, did you happen to leave change at the altar as your offering? She goes, yeah, I did. I go, okay, I knew it wasn't squashy. Some human left it because I didn't feel the buzz. I go, the next offering you're gonna get nickels. And so sure enough, the next day she got nickels because it was the same amount of change that she had given them. And to add to that, she made it really clear. She's like, yeah, please let the squashies know I gave them payday. So she would left them the payday candy bars that are all made of peanuts and caramel. And so she said, please let them know this is from me. So I'm like, okay, squashies, let's show you. This is from Leslie. She's giving you this big payday, okay? So I left that, and that's when I left that payday, and then I found her 60 something cents or whatever of offerings. So now she's still getting coins. She just messaged me last night. So her husband is having his experience because now he's like, was it, okay, wife's coming back all crazy. But she has these tools to help prove to him. So now he's having his experience and introduction. So she was gifted a quarter last night. He was gifted a dime. And then on top of that, he left paydays where they are because they live in North Dakota. And he was home alone. He left the payday, and then he checked within hours later, it was gone. And then of course, every time you're using the hand boilers, so she's showing, so he's starting to like really believe and say, oh my gosh, it's not just her. So she's getting her money's back. And I keep telling her, I said, Leslie, there's a reason the message that they're trying to show you is, I know there's like concern and worry about prosperity, but I think about it, you left them a payday. They're giving it back to you in coins for right now, but I go, it's still going to be coming just in a way that you don't really think it's going to come. But so she's getting more trusting and just surrendering to the process. So just last night, she was sending me more videos, and I was like, oh, see, here we go, here's more. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because nobody else, like she didn't tell anybody else she left that change behind. I found it after everybody already left because I was the only one there. And now I'm like, oh, now I know who it belonged to. But it's pretty cool because she's getting that change back on her side. And how she knows it's from the squashy, she's starting to look for the D. So she says every piece that she's getting back, it has the D on there. So it's been minted in Denver.
Yep.
Yeah. And then of course she tested it. One of the videos that she sent, that boiler just went, yeah, he was about to bust.
Yeah.
Oh my God, her
Yeah.
tools are gonna break.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
So that story just confirmed what the dowsing rods told me that first night, when I first pulled them out,
Yeah.
and we were just standing around,
Mm-hmm.
and you asked, you know, where the closest portal was,
Oh.
and it went right to you.
Oh, my portal's open. But the other thing too that just came to mind also, this is still around Leslie's experience. Same thing yesterday. She said she lost her purse she lost her purse, her purse completely disappeared somewhere. And I told her, I said, listen, you have the tools, use them. So she used the rods and the rods showed her, she said before she found the purse with the rods, she was freaking out, right? Of course, you're leaving purse, you go in, you're human, all the fear, oh my God, I'm gonna cancel all my cards. So she told me that she discovered there was 2 fraudulent charges with her PayPal account that she didn't know was there. And what happened was after she found her purse, the rods guided her directly to her purse. So she found them. And then she realized, oh, I had to lose my purse in order for the Sasquatch to show me, hey, there's fraudulent charges. And I would have never found these charges if it was just me being my own humanness. And I told her, I said, Leslie, payday. You're giving them paydays. So there's a very strong significant symbolism here. I said, they're really looking out for you on a financial side of it. And she goes, oh, I know. See, that's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together. So the cool thing about, you know, these experiences that we're having, it's not just our stories, but they're actually, when you start to work with them as far as a guide and you establish that communication and building, team building with them, this is how, like in her case, they're looking out for her and from that perspective. And she was really thankful. So, oh, they get extra candy tonight. I'm like, there you go. So just keep giving them offerings and they're going to keep bringing that. But the other thing about her dog is that she was telling me that her dog's starting to portal in different spots. So I think what's happening is the dog is, or the squashies are opening a portal and puppy's walking through and then they find him in the middle of a road. She was like, oh, I'm like, don't worry. I go, they're doing it for a reason, but don't worry, we're keeping your puppy safe. So she's still having these very active experiences even after the retreat.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's been, like Gayle said, she's been keeping me. in the loop.
So anybody online, do you have any questions? And Eric, I'm glad you've joined us. Too bad, sorry you couldn't join us in Bailey. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Hi, yeah, I'm still in pain, but I'm fine.
Oh,
Thank you.
But
so
we can always send energy
Mhm.
and ask the squashes to visit Erico and provide that.
To help that.
assistance. Yep.
So we're gonna show you some of the things that we had, that we brought to the retreat. Because I know you didn't see, so one of the cool things you want to show you gotta kind of stand up for it. There we go.
We've got
We'll let
3D
the
printed
squashies out.
squashy. And we'll have these on our website soon too.
Yeah, so there's one, and then this is can you see that?
Yeah.
This is one of the rocks that came from Arkansas, so
Susan, are you getting buzzed?
it's got the, you can see some of the clear quartz points. Then we took the clean ones and I added an Arkansas quartz, so now this is all buzzing. And then Amy had taken our Sasquatch medicine bags. And within here, there's the piece of wood that we talked about, a piece of the bark. She put in a Arkansas crystal and a crystal, regular quartz crystal that she had charged during the solar eclipse. So they've got a lot of things, and I guess, they'll be putting their stuff online. But do you guys have any questions or any comments about what you just saw? I know you guys at the retreat, we didn't get to kind of rush through it because it was all craziness. Oh, okay. So,
Does anyone here in person have any other questions?
yeah, or maybe do you have something to share? I mean, what
more
you've
experiences
experienced?
after going to Bailey.
Shoot, during Bailey for us, we saw a bunch of dwarves. We weren't staying, we were staying up the road, but Rachel found the first night, didn't stay anything the next day, and then we were fishing and all day long, we're super tired. So then went back and we're kind of resting. Her son crashed out hard and we're laying there thinking, what are we gonna do? And I was, wait, we're supposed to go down and take more pictures tonight to see, we're not losing our minds, She's like, right, she's looking at the picture, she goes, wow, the picture's taken at 7:37, and you're saying this is 7:37 right now. So we hopped up and we saw a whole bunch more orbs and that was really cool. And there's little things that happen after, but like around our garden, she found more orbs around the garden we just planted and built, so.
Cool.
Awesome.
So Erica, we are gonna go back to Bailey, just to let you know. We'll have another one.
Oh,
Yeah.
when?
I don't know yet, but we're gonna be going.
When we were talking, you said that, Orville and Cheryl, their awareness or the situation started happening in 2017, which I haven't gotten the definite year, but I believe that's the same time that Mary Ruth and all purchased Lennon's.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, my first experience with the Sasquatch happened in 2017 as well.
Mine too.
Yep. So there's a significance with 2017.
Yeah.
So, but Garrett got the message. What we've been sharing, we're gonna be going, it's kind of gonna go international too, to share the experiences that we've had. But it's a good way for people to also know what to look for, when you're out there. Just to get an idea too about maybe even energetically, like sharing these crystals. I'm getting high.
I know.
I know when you.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
There's something about that, and everything we experience, it's like each place has a different energy, different experiences. So just recommend to do it. You guys can have your own experiences. It's just things that we just didn't look at. We before you just walk, right, and not see these. I always felt portals, but since nobody else did, he's getting tickled. Garrett's getting tickled. But as soon as I realized that, wow, so what I've been experiencing as a child, it was real. But everybody else around me were not aware of it. So now I don't have to hide it anymore. I'm like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Because that's just how I was raised, is so tell anybody. But so, yeah, they're coming out. Like I say, I really feel that that's the next phase. They're going to come out and, and visit with us, and not just the Sasquatch, many, many more. Feel like those from the earth is going to finally come out and share, because they've been with us, but they've been in hiding for so long. So with that, we're done for our presentation. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to stop the recording now. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.